The amateur game has always been a big part in our lives. It's always the topic of our conversations and it's constantly on our minds on a daily basis.
Although it's not at a professional level, the amateur game is a working class sport at a working class level. Players put their bodies on the line, lives on hold, and have worked their socks off to be the best they can be from the top to the bottom of the amateur game.
We live and breathe football, and the amateur game has given us our best years in football. Both of us have come to the end of our playing days and want to sit and speak to the legends of the game, legends in their world, to sit and listen about the careers and stories of the game we love.
Welcome to our podcast.
3 points, please. So today we are joined by one of the most lovable people that you ever find in football. He's been involved in a lot of organisations, from Special Olympics to the FAI to the women's football, and he's always good for a good old football story. So say you have Paul Martyn. Welcome, Paul.
Welcome, Paul.
Thanks, gents. Thanks very much. Delighted to be here.
Thanks for coming. So, Paul, tell us what you're at now. We know you're not associated with kind of as a football manager with any club now, but
No, not at the moment. Myself and Jason Donoghue, who has been name checked a few times like myself, both starting the FAI on the same day. We've just recently gone past our 19th anniversary, which is incredible. Myself and Jason are very close in that our phone numbers are one apart. Mine finishes 4-3, his is 4-4.
Must be company phones, are they?
They are company phones. They were given out on the same day. And it was great to see Jason, and even though Dave Connell was one of our group when we started, Sharon Boyle, people who have become great friends with over the years. So in the FAI just over 19 years, working as a national coach developer at the moment. So working on all the UEFA licenses.
I'd say with the transition now, with the protocol that the way it's gone, the coaching badge and stuff like that. So say you're up your eyes now, eh?
Well, every year, in fairness, when we finish courses, we as a staff, we will go through all the content and we look to review it, and it's changing all the time. Even when you mentioned earlier about the Me and My Ball coming out, so that's going to be a new concept. About 9 years ago, I rewrote the Kickstart 1 and Kickstart 2, and as a football person steeped in football, you probably have an idea of like how proud I was to be involved in help shaping how managers and coaches.
You rewrote that yourself, like part of a group?
Yes, part of a group within the FAI.
Very good.
I think it was 2015 and 16, the Kickstart 1 and 2, and it's changed and developed, and because football keeps changing, kids keep changing, etc., etc. Even after COVID, the volunteer landscape has changed as well.
Yeah, because it went from Kickstart to PDP, and now it's Me and My Ball.
It's going to be Me and My Ball the next.
Obviously, they're changing. Gone away from I've done it myself there a couple of weeks ago, and it's gone away from the football sort of things for the young kids. It's more into the movement and kind of keep kids interested and stuff like that. But I thought it was very good, yeah.
I think anyone that would have done an old Kickstart 1 would always remember the ABCs.
Yeah.
What it stands for. Agility, balance, coordination, speed. So there was a lot of effort around agility, balance, coordination, speed.
Yeah.
As time went on, then we felt, and the narration would often be, well, the kids aren't technically good enough. So there was more football kind of orientated skills. And we moved away from the ABCs. And the Me and My Ball now is really going back to make it a good bit around ABCs and maybe more fun as well. Fun games.
where does that start off with, Paul? So as you said there, like that you was actually rewrite it. So they just get a team together and sit down and say, right, this is where we don't think we're developing too much, and lock heads together, and then all ideas come, and then you just jot them all in and restart the program then.
Yeah, to a degree, there's definitely that when it comes to the people who are going to be doing it. So when I was doing it, I had 5, maybe 6 development officers who were very well used to running coach education courses for grassroots clubs, and obviously my background and over 40 years in grassroots football, so I understood how people worked, how parent coaches worked and so on. So I had people who are like-minded who delivered a lot of the courses, and we spoke through and said, this is going well, this isn't going so well, we need to change, we need to adapt it more. And it was probably too much in the classroom, as time went on. Even the UEFA courses have kind of leaned towards having a lot more in the classroom, and now this year we're now going more towards getting more onto the pitch, which I think is, and again, trends change, attitudes change, things get better, you try stuff out, sometimes it works really well, sometimes not so much. But there was definitely feedback from coaches saying they'd like more time on the pitch.
I think a lot of people, they're not classroom people, the more pitch side people. That's what people to be put off by the classroom stuff. If you're asked to be put sessions together in the classroom, we just come out and I'll show you all doing on the pitch here. It's probably easier because people learn differently as well. So
They do.
maybe that's where it comes across. The feedback was coming from.
And as well as that, but then when you get to UEFA, of course, you're kind of you're getting into a more professional environment. And the way the world has gone, and even since COVID, when you look at even adult amateur clubs doing video analysis, like in the past, you'd go out and watch a match, you'd follow the ball and you'd write down a couple of things about corners or something.
Yeah.
And now there's underage teams, grassroots clubs have facilities now where they're videoing matches, and players are used to seeing it. Because remember, kids on the FIFA, you know, they go through a full match in 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's a big thing for kids if they think they can go through a full match in 10 or 15 minutes, and now they've got to train for an hour. You know, like there's a big disjoint there. So the likes of Me and My Ball, I think, will definitely help with that going forward.
Yeah, very good.
It's a great tool to have, the analysis, isn't it? The video analysis.
Doesn't lie.
Doesn't know exactly, yeah. But like if it's good enough for the likes of the professional clubs, and then the likes of amateur and schoolboy clubs can use this tool, like it's, if you use it right and use it correctly and have a person behind, I think that can use it like as a coach or anything like that. It's an unbelievable tool for any amateur anyway. For I've dealt with it and been in the classroom with top coaches like Casso and even Conor Parnell. Even now, the way he uses it up here at Fingers United, he's fantastic on it. Like his video analysis is unbelievable. He sit down in the classroom a lot during the week, Tuesday, Thursdays, and the benefits from it is unbelievable. It really is.
I think it gives other people a place in football as well. So there's a lot of lads there probably wouldn't be brought into a club for the football coaches or things, but if they're good at video analysis where they can actually break down a game, they can bring into clubs for that. So that gives another person a place in the football club where before they probably wouldn't, you know.
Yeah, I actually spoke to Jay Donoghue a while back, and we were chatting. I was chatting to him about courses and things like that, and video analysis and things. And he had said it to me that there was a guy here. I can't remember his name, young guy, but he ended up getting a move across to one of the Premier League teams and became one of the video analysis, and he's only 18, 19.
Oh right. I mean, we've had, obviously in the last 10 years I've been on all the UEFA courses, regularly would have people who are on, you know, video analysts, and that's their skill. That's where they see it, and that's what they're brilliant at. There's actually a lad who, I think he's the head of the academy in Aston Villa, was on an A licence with me a couple of years ago, and there's two lads from that course, one lad from Cork and himself from Kildare, are both with Aston Villa now. But even the lads we have, the likes of Martin Doyle, who we'd have, and Martin you probably know through Kevin's and Tolka Rovers and stuff like that, has worked with the men's team, the women's team, under 21s, and obviously Martin's a national developer like myself, so he'd be on the courses. And he does a little presentation on the match analysis. It's incredible what you can see. I mean, it doesn't lie, but I think it's just great then that people are used to it. And if, again, even the likes of Jason and underage teams, and I was with the women's under 16s, we'd have the back four and the goalkeepers looking at what we did well defensively. Is there anything we could improve on? What was our objective, and did we achieve the objective? I mean, you see 14, 15 boys, girls standing up discussing the game in detail, in minute detail, and then not take away the football, standing up and presenting in front of the group of their peers and the national team coaches. Like when I was 14, 15, I was the shyest kid in school. Yeah. And you see these kids being able to present on football. It's amazing. And that obviously by educating the players, we're hoping that'll make them better players. They make decisions rather than someone on the sideline shouting at them to run past him, go at him, roll Z, as we were talking about earlier, hold your line, watch your house, all those kind of nonsense. Yeah. I think it's fantastic.
Very good.
It really is, yeah.
So we take it back, maybe, Paul, back to where it all
Way
began.
Way back. When I had hair. There's less.
Did you have it?
There was a time, There's a rumour.
You're not born, Paul, you know?
No. I might have been. Actually, no. I was 10 pound 12 when I was born, just so you know. And my mum was only 4'10". So, yeah, that was a welcome to the world.
So, where did you grow up? So
Drimnagh, by Madigan Road,
right.
The home of St John Bosco. It's been named a few times. Locally we call it the Hallowed Turf, because it's often in the newspaper they've called it the Hallow Turf, and even the 50th anniversary book that we brought out in 2007, I called it Drimna's Finest, because again it was mentioned, it was an article that was written Drimna's Finest since 1957. So St John Bosco on Benmadigan Road, but I never played schoolboy for St John Bosco,
Right.
because there was no schoolboy team my age group. So Hughie Gagan, who played, was part of that Shamrock Rovers squad that played against the Busby Babes in 1958, which was their first game in that season.
Right.
They beat Rovers in the first round of the European Cup here, and Hughie was part of that squad. But he was a member of CIE Transport and brought me and a few others from the road over to play for CIE Transport.
And what age were you back then?
11,
11,
and I was made
the
captain
first.
of the team, so I was chuffed.
So it was a load of road leagues back then, was it? That's where you learned your football, was
The
it?
road leagues, yeah.
Yeah.
7, my first medal, first time to play. P. Fitzpatrick, who managed the St John Bosco team that won the FAI Youth Cup in 1981, and Paul Doolan would have been on that team.
Yeah.
Kieran Cooper, and there was, I think it was 3 League of Ireland lads as well. Colin Duffy played for Bowes, Johnny Rayner. I think they were all in that squad. And he was my first manager. And I was 7 playing under 11 in the road leagues.
Right.
And I was right back. We were beaten. I think we were beaten in the final. It was my first medal, first final, first team.
The whole family
But
are
I mean,
watching.
Oh yes, they fell out of the house.
Community.
40 yards down the road. But because it's windy and Benmadigan, it's open at each end, so as people may know, obviously the pitch in the middle, and I remember when we were in Premier A and Ballymum pulled up and I was putting up the nets, and Paul Kane, I think Paul was forced out of the car, and he shouted, "Oh, Paul, I presume this is where we're playing," and I'm putting up the nets like we're playing St John Bosco against Ballymum. And I said, "Yeah, it probably is, Paul, yeah, probably is." But they were there. I'm still putting up the nets at the ground, collect the subs before I come back around to the pitch. So yeah, that's so. And then I went to CIE London 15, Mourne Celtic. Then very successful Mourne Celtic. We had a very good schoolboy team on the league on the 17, 18. Runners up on the 19, went into the amateur league for a couple of years. Inchicore in Premier AOL. It's before your time. There's no ABC. There was just Premier AOL. So went to Inchicore, Scooby, Brian Kennett, and his nephew Kieran then played me for Crumlin. A bit later on, he was the one who got me over. He played me with Mourne Celtic, and then ended up back in the Bosco in 1993. With the first things I heard, the team was struggling. They were going to break up
As a player.
and trainer. I think the lads called me a trainer, and the lads that brought me in. So I used to do the training, and 93, then 95, 6 took over the Saturday team. We won the league. We went up to senior Saturday for the first time to be in senior Saturday.
It was a strong little league senior Saturday, wasn't it?
Pretty sure it
Back
was.
then. It was
I
really-
played until I was 42.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, until I was 42. Like, and
A lot
when
of
I was
people.
finishing, there was fellas who had managed with the AOL youths 7, 8, 10, 12 years before. Where I was playing, coming up against them, and I was thinking, Jesus, I know there wasn't a huge age gap between us, but still, I was able to play against them. And even lads I managed under 11 and 12 with the Bosco. So even though I never played, I managed an under 11 team up to under 16. We got that team regrouped at 19. I was back involved with the club. Most of them players played, and they were the backbone of the first team then for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And after I managed to start the team for 2 years, then managed the Sunday team, and first game was on Kildonan Road in Finglas. Was that what it was called?
Oh,
I know. Yeah, the very
say you're
first
sitting in
game. Yeah, actually on Kildonan
You
Road.
got the tail was there, didn't you?
Yeah. I was waiting to see who jump in first. It was pitch 4, and it was against Wefton. And I met, I can't remember the referee's name. He was a great friend of Alan Kelly. Used to see him in all the Ireland games and all. He reffed the match, and actually it was the 31st of August 1997.
You weren't wrong when you were saying
Oh,
your
Stato.
nickname is Stato, yeah.
But the reason why I remember it is it was the day that Princess Diana was killed.
Right.
It was that day, because we went round the club and then we came out here. We won 5-2 in our first match. Won our first 2, lost the next 2, and then we're unbeaten to the end of the season. And Big
Did you win the
George,
George, yeah.
we won the league. Yeah, won the league
Won the
with
senior
2
Saturday.
games. No, that was the first team. That was Division 1 Sunday.
Oh, right.
Yeah, remember playing here against Macro Celtic. Remember Macro Celtic?
Oh, no.
Played on Kildonan Road. Yeah,
A
team
lot
from
of
the
teams
markets.
played here. A lot of teams played.
Team from the markets.
I remember as a young kid, like probably even before I would have probably played football, there might have been 5 or 6 pitches in Kildare in here now,
You're
where
trying
there
to
was
think
only
now.
1, 2,
Yeah.
3, 4, and then obviously up here at Larney.
Yeah.
But you come up on a Sunday and there'd be teams from everywhere that actually it felt, when you were that small, it felt like it was you were in the Phoenix Park.
People
And
everywhere.
a match on, a senior match on, like all the way till probably 4 or 5 o'clock in the day on a Sunday.
Yeah. Well, Big George made his debut that season down in Ballyulster, in a 0-0 draw, and we were top of the league, but with 2 men sent off. It's the first time I ever had a team with 2 men sent off, and George, he's only 16 years of age, but obviously he was 6'5", and even Jason, you probably know some of the players like Wefta came to Madigan to win a league once, and he still, Jason Donoghue would say, was the best goalkeeper front he's ever seen, because Big George kept that Wefta team out. And there's only Jason and there's a couple of subs, and there was 3 of us on the Bosco line. It was a dreadful Monday, wet night. But so yeah, when he was 3 years later, he made his first team debut, and we
Still involved with the
kept the
club.
clean sheet. George is the secretary. He was PRO, and I think he might be secretary now.
Seen him out there,
And he's been
we
involved
played
with the
a
senior
friendly
teams
last year,
over the last few years. Yeah,
Brilliant.
he's. I mean, George was rare. We call him George, even though his name is Robert. Most people probably don't even know
I
his
don't
name is
know.
Robert.
There you go.
Yeah, and his father was George, and his older brother was George. So if you rang the house looking for George,
You don't know who's
there's a
going to
pick
come
and
to.
mix. You never know who's going to come out.
You want to play a game where the outlet runs up.
So how when you step in there, Paul, is there anything about like kind of coaching badges or anything back then when you stepped into management, or was it just straight in as a manager?
It was 97. The manager of the team brought up this lad to help us do training, and we were told it was the UEFA B licence fella. And we thought, geez, UEFA B licence, this is, because I think it was Division 1 or Division 1A AOL, wherever it was, and there was 2 Premier C's, so there was a mountain to climb.
To climb up, yeah.
And there was a discussion around something tactical. He decided to do something tactical because we were doing a lot of running and training, and as it was in the day. And he said something, and I went, I don't think that. And he said, sorry, just say. And I said, I just can't see that working.
And you were the manager?
No, I was only a player.
Oh, you're only a player.
Yeah, I hadn't even taken over the Saturday team.
Right.
Sorry, I was manager of the Saturday team at the time, and I played for the Sunday team, and I went, I just don't see it. And he tried to explain it, and I said, no, I don't think that'd work. And he lost the head a little bit, and I was saying, I'm only asking you a question.
My
like,
opinion,
just-
yeah.
So that was the thing that made me think, okay,
Maybe because you're seeing things
I'm gonna
differently.
go.
Yeah.
and do something about this. And on the level 1, and then on the UEFA B in 1998. And that was the year Matt took over the first team, it was 97-98 season. And 5 years later we were in Premier A. 6 years later in Premier, 6 years later we were in Premier A.
Good, yeah.
So
Promotion
and-
after promotion, did you just have any stops?
oh no, we were in Premier C for about 4 years.
Right.
And we had a good under 18s and under 17s team coming through. So George would have been on the John Shannon, who's still involved with the club, and Brian Bean, who we lost back in 2004. We had our 20th anniversary with Inchicore. We played a match every 28th
year,
December every
season,
year
yeah.
for 20 years, because they're the 2 clubs he played from. We're only a couple of minutes away from each other as well, and nearly all the players that would have played for Inchicore over the time at
That's
some
still
stage
going,
would have
is
played for
it?
Bosco. Yeah, 20th anniversary was
Brilliant.
December
Very
gone.
good,
Yeah, it's
Brilliant.
amazing. It's amazing to see so many of us that played with Brian remember Brian, and he was in the Oscar trainer team as well, which was great. So that was so that's when I done it. 98. Brian was on that under 18s team with George and came through, and then we had another team. So there was a team just ahead of them, and between the 2 of them, I said, look, these are going to be the backbone. These are really going to bring us on. But it took 4 years maybe for them to get into it really. And then we got promoted to Premier B in 2003, then Premier A in 2004, and we're there for 4 years when I left. And reasonably, we were never winning it, but in the first year, Robbie was the manager of Wefta. Actually, we come up as 3rd. There was someone left to go Leinster Senior, which was unusual at the time, when it was the top league back then.
So you're trying to say that
we
was
went up
better
as
than the
third.
Leinster Senior League, was it?
Oh, back then?
Yeah.
Oh, there wasn't 4 Leinster Senior leagues. There weren't 4 intermediate divisions back then. When I played in the early 90s, like I think there was 1, then there was 2. It was only much later it developed into 4 leagues. But I mean, all the teams who are done really well over the years were in the AOL at the time. So it took a couple of years for those 2 groups of players to come through. But then once we came in, like when we played our first match in the AOL, Premier A was in Ballymun. Ballymun beat us 1-0. And normally the teams that come up went straight back down. Like it was really difficult to stay there. The second match we played, Usher, 2-0 down. Kind of a local derby, not really a local derby.
Close
They're near
enough,
us,
though,
but we'd never consider ourselves as rivals, whereas Inchicore you would. 2-0, we got back to 2-2 and they beat us 3-2. And I thought, just and Usher were champions at the time. And then we went on a little 5 games unbeaten, 4 wins and a draw, including a 1-0 win in the school up the road.
Yeah, Matt Christie, yeah.
The Matt Christie, we won 1-0. Gary Park scored it. It was a terrible match now. It was really, really tight. We come up together.
Gary played with
Gary played with us then as well. That's right.
Remember Gary came over with Des Leonard.
No.
Played with us that year. We came second and everything.
2008 was it?
2008. Yeah, Gary came over. I don't know whether he played a
Lives in
full
Cardiff.
season with us.
Lived over.
That's
Sorry,
right.
he
He had
didn't
moved
go over
over
Cardiff.
close.
Yeah, I think he
Left
lives in
foot player.
Tyrrellstown,
Yeah.
somewhere
Does
up
he
that direction. Yeah, but Gary scored a screamer. And what a left foot
Left
he
foot,
has.
yeah, left foot.
Him and Speedy like were our 2 centre forwards that round then. But it was a really, because we drew 0-0 with West the previous year. I think he was beat us 2-1 here and we was 1-0 in Benmadigan. It was actually a bank holiday Monday. And I remember, or a Sunday, and I remember saying to the league, you know, the marathon, like, that's something that's going to get over here. Or maybe, I think it was a 10:30 kickoff or something. And I said, but they closed the roads for hours. Anyway, we came over as a 0-0 draw. Really, a great game now in Benmadigan.
That was still kicking on there a couple of months ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, actually, it was a bit of hassle. It was a Crumlin, yeah.
Crumlin said he couldn't travel over because the marathon.
The
that, yeah.
All right.
Because that's
Well,
so
well,
that
a precedent was set.
argument's still kicking on, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Must
actually,
be a Southside thing.
my grandfather actually was buried on a bank holiday during the marathon, and he was from Harold's Cross, and we were stopped for about 15 minutes at the halfway house trying to get across because, you know, at times there's floods of people going through.
Yeah.
But that was a bank holiday Sunday because the marathons used to be on a Monday, way back. Yeah, I ran 2 of them way back.
I don't think I can remember playing. I'm trying to think. I don't think I played John Bosco over there in your home ground.
So that would have been 2003.
Did you switch to the AUL then, Paul? Did you just have to play
No,
the
we
AUL
played.
at some
We
stage?
did, yeah. We switched to the
I'm
AUL.
trying to think where John Bosco played, and I for the life of me I can't remember playing over there at any stage really. Now I'm trying to think. So I'm trying to picture the pitch, you know,
Yeah.
like because obviously would have played against your teams.
Yeah.
A handful of times definitely. But
Yeah, the AUL was 2006, and then I got the James's Gate in 2007.
That's right. I played
That's, yeah.
James's Gate a couple
Remember
of
that one,
times.
actually.
Yeah, that's
88
right.
yards wide.
James's
There's a bar in that
Yes,
place,
massive.
is
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nelson will know
That's
that.
what it is. That's
Yeah.
what that one.
That's right.
88 yards wide that pitch is.
Massive pitch.
Like it's nearly square. It's
Mm.
88 yards. 88
It's
yards.
massive.
88 yards wide.
Yeah.
That was the biggest concern when we went in there. But we went in there because the AUL brought in a private pitches rule. And actually we played Kilbarrack that year. And I know Kilbarrack weren't allowed to play, but we got them in a cup match. And we played them where they're playing now. And because of we have to remember the dressing rooms in St. John Bosco Youth Centre, we had to walk around the corner. So the AUL said, no, it has to be closer.
It can't be cross the road or it can't
That
come
kind of
outside.
thing.
Yeah.
And I said, well, Kilbarrack is a little bit the same, but I said, for me, there's no reason why Kilbarrack is not the same. Distance-wise, it's the same, but they're not crossing roads. That's right. So you think you walked across the car park, didn't you, and around into it.
That's right.
So I actually went to the AUL and said, I think Casey McQuillan, who was a good friend of mine over the years, I said, I think Kilbarrack should be, I know if you're blocking us and Kilbarrack is not the same as us. Distance-wise, might be the same, but they're just walking across the car park. We're obviously walking across, it's a little road, it's still a road, whereas they're walking across. So yeah, so that's how we had to move to the AUL, because it was kind of short notice. And then the following year, James
made a nice few quid out of a few teams, the AUL, didn't they? Were playing
But I mean, back
Car
then,
park alone.
Oh, yeah, car park alone.
There's no bluff for me, though.
The yearly rate was probably a couple of
it was a couple of grand. And the rest, and the rest.
Yeah.
But I mean, afterwards, when you'd sit in after the game, like, and you'd have 6-8 matches. Like when I was involved with the AUL and the Oscar trainer team, if we were meeting at 6 o'clock and I got to the car park at 5:30, at 5 to 6 Dermot would be looking out saying, where is it? And because I'd be talking to, because I knew all the players. Dermot kind of was a little bit didn't. And Joe, you say, you two are the two grumpy. They like me. They'll chat to me all day. They don't. You two are the administrator at the end of it. And so we have half an hour in the car park. So
it was
after
great
the
on a
games,
Sunday out there,
brilliant,
wasn't it? Because your rivals, you'd be playing again, and they're on a pitch beside you. We used to play sometimes, say, going out with Wefton, you'd be playing, say, Sheriff on pitch 9 and Ballymun, and
Ballymun was pitch 10, Kevin's was pitch 9.
A goal would go in and you're kind of, you know what I mean? You're like, scores it there, and then someone would be playing on the main pitch, and then after that you'd be in the showers with the six teams that you're battling against for the rest of the season. It was brilliant.
That was great.
It
really was.
I actually loved going
so the Tommy Clements. When everyone came together during the pre-season. Magnificent, like
even the Leinster senior league teams loved entering.
Oh, they did.
But you were saying they'd be looking over, and obviously with 3 games going on, you'd be looking over and hear someone screaming, like, what's going on? They're just playing their own game and all. It used to be brilliant.
And the pitches were immaculate as well. Great to play on, because we actually, because of the pitch we used to play on in Mater Christie, we'd be hoping for the away games, you know. We'd be like, lovely, we're on pitch 9 today, well, happy days, we get to play
on the board, see what pitch 9 is on the board,
which one, lovely,
that's that,
brilliant.
So what enticed you away from the Bosco?
I suppose somewhere in between was the AWL Youth. So I was asked to manage the AWL Youth team just after I got my UEFA B licence. I'm not sure, I don't know how that even came to be, I can't remember, but Anton McGlynn, who was the secretary at the time, said, listen, the AWL have asked, would you be interested in? And I said, oh jeez, I'd love that, because it was nearly north side. So when we started, we're kind of going, I wanted to be the top south side team in
because there wasn't a lot in Premier A.
Markfish Celtic, Usher Celtic, ourselves, and they were both in Premier A for years, Markfish and Usher. And then when we got in, Markfish got relegated when we went up, so it was only Usher for me. I was saying Usher's the one, of course they were champions, but then we ended up playing them a couple of years later and we relegated them. Actually John Chandler was the manager, I'm almost sure. I think him and Mick might have been involved in that, Mick Hayes as well, and we played the second last match and I think we beat them 2-1, and I think it relegated them, and I think that made us safe, but we had another match or 2 to play or something. So then 2002, Dermot Wilkins was the manager. Dermot went and came out to watch Brian and Speedy, because they were in and around the squad. And he rang me then, he said, listen, have a chat. And I thought it was just, I'm this youth manager, you're the senior manager. And he said, I'd love to have you as part of my team. And I went, again, no one would have known who I was. You know, all the stuff was happening over here in the AOL on the north side, so no one would have known anything about what was going over there. And I said, yeah, okay. So we sat down and had a chat, and it was in the Swiss Cottage, if I remember correctly. And I said, a problem I see is that you're surrounded by Kevin's people, and you've been the first team manager for years. So no matter what you say, no one's going to argue with you. But I said,
Kevin's were the hot property team then, weren't they?
Definitely one of the top 2 or 3 all the time. But Donny was there, Paul Smith, Lord Reston was there as well. But I said, they're not going to really give you something. But I said, the first thing I said is, how do you pick the teams? He is, yeah. I was talking to him
I seen him a while back in the Kevin's jacket,
Just, I think it was December. We were doing a UEFA Youth B course, and his team came out and provided the players. And as I was walking, it was a bit hazy and wet or something, and I knew by his walk, I said, Donny! I'm yelling, mate. So it was good, and that's what I love about it. Even the coaching conference you had the weekend, meeting people that you've played against, managed against, coached against. Actually, one of my old AWL Youth captains, he's with St. Eata's now, was there, and I met him on a course for 10 years ago. Obviously he looks a bit older than he did 20 odd years ago. From the eyebrows down, I haven't changed much. So he recognised me, and I went, once he asked, jeez, I can't believe it. So I said, look, how do you organise? When do you train? He said, well, we don't really train, we just turn up for matches. Because they hadn't got out of the group the previous 2 years. And I was thinking, surely we have to train. With the AWL, I said, with the AWL youths, the week before it, we train on the Tuesday, Thursday. So like 8:30 to 9 or 8:30 to 10, whatever it was, when you're finished training your own team. And I said, I think you need to do that with the AWL team. I think there's something missing here. And I said, what about a trial? Because certain players wouldn't play.
Yeah.
And Dermot said, a trial? Oh, I don't think we'd have a trial. They want to know for trials. I said, there's There's probably 2,000 players that love to play with the A1 and the Oscar Trainer.
Yeah.
So we had a trial, and it was like the trial in the paper, and the 24, 30 names was mentioned. And then, myself and Dermot would be great friends, like. And I mean, I never would have known Dermot. I played against him probably a few times, managed against him maybe once or twice, but didn't really know him. And but we became great friends. But football wise, we're quite opposite. Like Dermot, he was the stern and strict, when I was the friendly,
man, wasn't
happy. But and it wasn't put on. Dermot was that way, and he'd be straight as a die. But
you wanted the conflict, though. You wanted, as you said, you just want to be told you're right all the time, because you don't know where you're going wrong. Then
Absolutely.
Everyone keeps saying all the time. So
no good to you.
Maybe you wanted that conflict. Bash heads.
Yeah, and then Robbie came in as well.
Yeah.
Robbie came in a little bit later as well. So there was myself, Robbie, and actually in 2006 Robbie would have been there when we won the Oscar Trainer. I mean, a little bit unlucky in other games and tournaments. We definitely should have won more.
Always thereabouts, the AUL team, really, weren't they? Haven't they over all the years? Yeah.
Well, the previous year, to us winning it in 2005, I was actually away at a wedding in England, and the Amateur League beat us on the all-weather pitch out, and I think there was a lot of trouble at it. There was a lot of controversy over it.
Down in
Oscar Trainer.
Yeah, it was on the bench that one, yeah.
And then the following year we got them in the group. I think we won 8-1 or something in the first game. And actually the Leinster Football League was the second match.
That game,
The Leinster Football League was the second match, and Brendan Dempsey, who lives local to me, would have been with Trimley United at the time, and Galtee Celtic for the last number of years was managing the Leinster Football League, and we got them we played them in the second game of that group, the year that we went on and won it. But I mean, that year we won it, I think it was 7 teams represented in the final, which was highly unusual.
Yeah.
And even at the time, I know Ross was kind of coming through with Valley Park when I got involved, and we were only after coming up from, we were in Premier B with Valley Park. I think they won it. Did they might have won it when?
But I think Kilbarrack might have won that. Did they beat? I think
was
they
Holt
might have
Celtic.
beat Kilbarrack. Was it Holt?
It was Holt, Weft, and ourselves.
I think they beat Kilbarrack in a playoff maybe to get up.
That was the
Premier B to get up to Premier A, I think.
Yeah, or out in Kilbarrack. What a match that was!
What a game! Yeah,
Yourself and Dan were out watching that.
To get up, in order for the Valley to get up to Premier A, they had a playoff with Kilbarrack.
I even think it was the last league match. I don't think it was a playoff.
It could have been a league game, then it could.
But there was hundreds at it.
Oh my life! Yeah.
I've never seen Rose Glen, and it was grass pitch at the time, long before the I think it was 2-1 to Valley. But then I went to see Usher the following year, and Ross was on the team for Valley, and we did a couple of Lippo, Tranner, we're all playing.
I remember Lippo, Tranner played against.
And then it was
Tranner,
Lippo. Then there was another one. There was there was 2 L's.
Usher,
That's right. And so I'm out watching them, and this fella picks up the ball from right full with Valley Park, beats 1, beats 2, cuts in and sticks it into the top corner. So I walked over to Anto Devlin. I said, Anto,
great man, Anto.
Put his name over there. Which fella? The fella who scored it? David Lacey. Okay. I said to Dermot, listen, I've seen this fella called David Lacey. We got to get him in Thursday. He just ran I think they beat Usher 4-1, and he scored 2 that day, but he was phenomenal. And that's how we got Davey into the squad.
On the day, we managed to think about Dave there on the 10th. He said to me, he feels like he's getting sharper as he gets older. I said, how?
He's definitely not.
How could he be sharp?
He's definitely not. He's definitely not. I even said that. I haven't even said the word. He's definitely not.
He's getting sharper as he gets older. That's what he said to me. He's running around, rings around the
But you see him though, how fit he still is and how lean he still is, and he does still have a bit of sharpness. Definitely, he still has that little.
He said he doesn't even feel sore after games anymore. I was like, I feel sore after walking up the stairs.
It's all the hash he said he smoked.
He's probably doing less running. You know what I mean? He's a bit cuter now, and he's playing against all the fellas.
I was going to say smart run, but Dave Lace smart doesn't go in the same sentence.
Someone, again, I was talking to someone, bumped into someone from the Bosco over 35s, and he mentioned that, we're playing against Colester in a friendly with the Bosco over 35s. Dave Lacey, the Murphys, and he went through 5 or 6 names, so he didn't tell me the score, I didn't ask him.
Right.
But Dave was the back playing. And actually, Dave, even when Dave was going to go to
the weekend, was it?
Two before last, I think.
Yeah, I think Bosco's won that.
Did they?
Yeah, beat
no, in fairness, Bosco's a good team.
I think it was 2-1, yeah.
Bosco have a very good team, good few lads playing. Actually, a couple of them would have played in the Memorial match we played. But David was supposed to be going to Kildare town or county at the time, and we knew Jerry Smith was out watching him, and the word was he's going, and Dermot said, listen, give David a ring and see if the story is with you. So I just rang Dave and I said, listen, oh yes, I've been asked to go down, and I said, bit of advice, the quadrangular's coming up, there's a mid-season break when you can transfer over, but if you wait till then, I think you have a great chance of being in the next squad, because you're just top of the golden boot charts and everything. And
he scored 36 goals that year.
Did he? Well, look, thankfully he didn't. Got into the quadrangular and then stayed amateur, and obviously he ends up scoring the winning goal.
Yeah.
For us to win, you know, the amateur cup, which was incredible. Like, and James Lee crossed us. So I was obviously knowing the lads and stuff. It was great to be playing that little part in them. But I remember if Dave did go, obviously he wouldn't have been there playing in that.
Yeah, so avoid,
you know, those little things. Just little, and it was 10 years later.
It's a different career for David then. Do you know what I mean?
He wouldn't have been able to capped.
Oh no, once he. So those players played. You would have played just a couple of minutes, but once he stepped onto the pitch.
I think the one we always go back to is Stephen Costello, wasn't it? The UCD,
That's right. 8 minutes for UCD or something.
Yeah, that is right. Yeah.
What's the change on the rule now? Is it if you play a League of Ireland, is it you have to wait 3 years to come back down? Or
I'm not sure now.
There
definitely is something. Yeah, but I mean, even we had Charlo played for us. Come off, we're playing CYM 10 Euro first round of the Intermediate Cup at Crumlin, and Danny Loughlin got injured with a minute and a half to go or something. So Danny being Danny, it took him a minute and a half to crawl off the pitch. Charlo went on. The referee bounced the ball, was kicked back to the goalkeeper. Keeper kicked it out. Full time was blown, and Charlo couldn't. And I think that was the 2010 season when we did the quadrangular. And Charlo couldn't play for the Saturday team. The Saturday team won, like as well as the Sunday team doing well that year in Crumlin. The Saturday team won the league, the Tom Carroll Cup. The second Saturday team won the league. We beat the Scottish FAI with the Leinster Senior League. We won the Tom Hand with the Leinster Senior League, and we got the Club of the Year. Crumlin did. So I remember myself and Martin Loughlin looking around when it was finished. We had 11 trophies on the table, and we're thinking on, but it was and we got to the final of the Noel Ryan Cup and made 5 or 6 changes, and we lost that 1-0 now. But we 31 games like unbeaten in that spell. Which, yeah, a little bit of a poor passion, needless to say.
Before we kind of go a little bit further, you got did you win anything with John Bosco? Did you get a cup? Did you win a cup?
Do you know what we had?
I don't want to skip that. He's got to the FAI Junior final, which was a massive achievement.
Well, 2004 was the year that we lost Brian, and actually lost Jerry Cloak, another player, a couple of months in September.
Was Brian playing with us when you lost him, Paul? Was he?
Jerry was with the Saturday team mainly, and Jerry, sudden adult death syndrome, just went in to get the paper on Tuesday, picked the paper off and collapsed in the local shop. That was the 29th of September 03, and then Brian died the 28th of December 04. Both with the club, and we've the club have since, like, the senior Sunday and senior Saturday player of the year are named after the two lads.
Very good.
You know, just hugely important. Marty, I remember Marty was our number one supporter. Marty MacDonald used to come to all the matches, and that game that we beat is 1-0 on Kildone Road.
4 times at the same night he beat us already.
I'm gonna make it 5. So the time we beat us 1-0 on Kildone Road. Marty was talking to the reporter, and 3/4 of the report is the conversation that he had, and he passed away a few years ago. He was a famous reporter. Wasn't a normal lad. Maybe he used to have like Gavin Early and stuff like that out, but this was a lad who was much more experienced than them. But half the report was about Marty talking to him. And there's the club person of the year is named after Marty. I mean, stuff like that. And again, even looking at the little tribute wall that you have. So I think for grassroots clubs, and even in the Bosco book, like there's people in that, you know, there's lads that died tragically and stuff, and there's little pieces given to them, and it's just so important for grassroots clubs to remember. You said people like that. You put that together yourself, so I'm sure there's a jog down memory lane when you're putting it together. It was the 50th anniversary book for 2007. I still, every now and again, I get a phone call or I get an email or a text. Any more of them books left? And it was the year. It was a poignant year. You're like a walking local historian. because every time I'm Alan Barr, you need to go over and speak to Liam Nelson.
Yeah.
Go to Liam Nelson, go over and speak to Johnny O'Brien, and I was sent around and getting like stories all over the place. And the president of the AUL at the time, David Blood, only found out he was from Morn Road in Drimnagh, and he used to run the road leagues. And he started mentioning, and there's an article in it, he starts talking about stories of road league teams that were gone by the time I was playing in the road leagues, because things shift and move. Like the Lizardale Eagles, so all the roads in Drimnagh are named after mountains. So you've Benbulben, Slievemore, Slevenamon, Galtymore, Sperrin, etc., etc. So Lizardale, another one, Benbulben, but there was a Lizardale Eagles, Benbulben Celtic, Morn Celtic, Mornville, Benmadigan Rangers, like all just named after the roads. So David Blood was there, and some man, and I said, I'm not putting a photograph in unless I've names to go with it.
Yeah.
So the first half of the book is kind of the history, and then the second part, like there's the road to Premier A, because obviously it was a huge thing for us to get to Premier A. The club was never higher than Premier B before, so that was huge. And when we had our first match at home, every player bar one, Gary Parks, the aforementioned, he'd be delighted now. Parks would be delighted.
Got a couple of Wefta, did he?
Yeah, well, we just won 11 Kildonan in a row, that one. I think it was Parks for Bosco 1 or something. I'm sure Gary will remember what it's called. But Gary was the only one who you couldn't walk to his house. Everyone else lived within a kilometre of that pitch. And even we had a couple of lads from Inchy, like Brian, Noel Donnan, Garrett Bourne, who are from Inchicore or Bluebell. It's less than a mile from the pitch, whereas Gary was from Tala. He was the only one from outside the area. And again, I remember at the very first match, I had a couple that used to come and watch the matches, and they say, I remember him playing under 11 and 12. I can't believe he's in Premier A AOL. That's stuff like that's fantastic for us, Yeah. So yeah, I think I was 9 years with the first team, and actually I left the year that they got to the Junior Cup final.
You didn't manage them when they got to the
I was with Ballymun. And then 2 years later, Ballymun got the Junior Cup final. So I get them ready and set them up, and then someone else steals on me glory.
In the intermediate.
3 or 4 times, I think. Yeah, believe it. Yeah. So yeah, that was that year. Who came in then and took over John Bosco? Noel Keogh was the manager, I think, at the start, and then and again I think Big George was. I mean, I remember being at.
What's that game? Was it in
Dalymount?
In Dalymount, yeah.
Yeah, Colester 3-0 at half time.
He got a call up that year, didn't he? For his heroics, obviously.
George,
that was his first.
George has one. He won an only cap. Oh, listen. As well as me mentioning that Bosco beat Webster 1-0 out here. George mentions that a few times too. Yeah, I was actually myself, him, and a few of the Bosco lads were away.
I got half a cap.
Oh, absolutely. I actually done Kieran Westwood was on a goalkeeper licence with us, and obviously I think Kieran has 13 senior caps, and I got Kieran to do a little skiff for George, and obviously I'd known Emma Bourne, who was currently with the women's national team. And I said, that Emma and George have 135 caps between them. And I called Kieran laughs, Emma's 134, and I said, spot on. But look, if you had one, you'd be making the most of it. But I mean, he saved, I think, 4 or 5 matches on the penalties. I remember they played Vincent's Hospital in the second or third round. I was over watching them over in the gate. When I went to penalties, they turned off half the lights because it was bright enough to see. You couldn't see a full pitch. Yeah. Bit dark, but you could see it when I went to penalties, and George saved 3 penalties, and even the semi-final to beat Villa Celtic, and I was actually with a lad from Villa Celtic who's on a B licence with me, and he was saying he was part of that squad, and I said, but once that went to penalties, they could have just gone back to the dressing room.
Yeah.
You could see they were defeated, the way they slouched, they walked up, and he saved the first 2 penalties. And that was it. But again, he made that macro Celtic. He made a double penalty save here on Kildonan. We spoke about earlier. George did again. He would have been maybe 19. He made a save and rebounded straight back to the taker who hit it in the opposite corner, and he got up and with his left hand pushed it over the bar. But like penalties, we played Donamead away in the Premier B in 4th or 5th match of the season. I think we were both unbeaten. It was that year that we ended up getting promoted, and George, we conceded the penalty. We were 1-0 up, and he gave the ball to the centre forward, and he walked real slowly back. So you can't see the goal until he gets to the 6 yard line. Do you know what I mean? Like he's such a big fella.
Yeah.
And he saved the penalty. He was just a master at it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about
I
it.
think that's about Lee Murphy as well. So when they got the penalty, they knew Lee had.
Yeah. And then he'd score one as well. He probably scored a winner, yeah.
Well, Lee played for him for the AWL youth as well.
Yeah, you did a good squad there,
Yeah. Over the 3 years now, we'd some very good
Did
players.
you have the youths for 3 years, Paul? Yeah.
2001 and 2, and then halfway through 02, Dermot asked me to go to seniors, so I was doing both of them for a few months. Yeah, then about 6 years with the AWL, 2002 to 2007, and then was with Crumlin under 16s. After Ballymun, last game against Ballymun, we won the Liddy Cup, which was I think Ballymun had lost 5 or 6 maybe finals, so they'd never won it before. So it was nice to finish on that note. Davy Kane scored 4. I think he might have mentioned that in his podcast earlier in the year that he scored 4, 2 in each half. Incredible performance.
Yeah.
How did the transition go from leaving John Bosco as a manager, going to Ballymun? Did you step away from John Bosco, or were you enticed over to Ballymun, or did you step out of football and then go to Ballymun? What way to go?
No, I was actually myself and Jason Donoghue. Again, certain names keep popping up. We're just in the FAI, and we were doing a summer soccer school down
Did
in.
come in, Paul, at that in and around that time that you weren't able to be officiated with a club?
It was never. See, we were the first set of development officers, so the issue had never arisen before. So all of a sudden there was 7 of us from Dublin City Council side, then we had 3 in Fingal, and then it spread out all over the country. But at the time, there was no rule as such. It just didn't exist. And I just got a phone call while we were on the camp saying, listen, we'd like to shortlist you for the role. And I said, geez, I'll need a bit of time to think about this. Like, this just came out of nowhere. Now, obviously, I was with the Oscar Trainer team at the time, so I'm sure some of the lads from Ballymun must have suggested, have a chat with Paul. And then a week later, they rang and said, look, the interview is on such a day. And then they rang to say, listen, we've interviewed other people and we'd like you to have it. So, it was the hardest thing I ever did, I have to say. Now, it was really and I was in the middle of writing this book. So I'm on the committee. So I went up and spoke to the president of the club, who's Anton McGlynn, who's still the president of the club, and Willie, who was the chairman. And I went up to the two of them and I asked the lads in Ballymun, I said, listen, I don't want that announced until Thursday. I need to tell the club. So so Anto, who was the one who wrote me in the first place to the Bosco, I told him, and he said, look, you've done a hell of a lot and stuff, and I really appreciate it. I mean, I was PRO for 7.5 years, 8 years. I was treasurer for the previous 7, as well as managing the first team and doing other bits and pieces. So I just felt, look, it's time for me to just do something. But when I went down and told the lads, like, I was choking, I could hardly speak. And then when I went to see Marty, our number 1 supporter, she broke down. So that was, it was really, really tough. Really, and I still wrote the book, and in fairness, when the book was written and people come back and, they're saying how they enjoyed the book, it was really like a parting gift, definitely a passion, a love for, like, I still call it my club. Like, obviously I was there for nearly 25 years, and would have played Night Owls, like, league stuff even beyond that, beyond the time, and obviously still see all the lads, and I'm on the committee of the Bosco Golf Society now for the last number of years.
Still involved in some...
and I still live in Balmadigan, so I'm always bumping into, and all the lads live around the place as well.
I'm sure when you left and you gave them that, to show you how much the club meant to you.
Yeah,
I'd like them how much the club meant to you by leaving. I said that's a parent gift for them.
And even like Paul McGrath, we got Paul McGrath in as a guest speaker, and I knew Paul wasn't doing public speaking wasn't really his thing, but I did a little. What if I have a little one-on-one with you and I just talk to you and ask you a few questions, a bit like you are doing now? And Paul said, I'd love to do that. So Paul and, like, his family are from Keeper Road in Drimnagh as well. That's where Paul would have been. His mother lived until she passed away a few years ago. And his sister Acuna was married to John O'Reilly, who I played football with Moran Celtic for 6-7 years. So that was a nice little tie-in. And Paul was brilliant. So I'd ask Paul McGrath, cards on all the tables. So lads wrote them down. We just done a little one-on-one, and that's where the book was launched as such. But yeah, look, it's obviously I'm from Drimnagh, born and reared. Even when I moved to Walkinstown for a few years, I don't think most people thought I'd left because I was every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, still involved with the club and stuff like that, you know. And then so this Crumlin 16s, Jerry McGill was bumped into him.
Ballymoon?
Yeah, the following season. Actually,
Many
Jerry.
years did you do with Ballymoon, Paul?
Just the one.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, just the one. And then there was a thing coming in the FAI where, look, you know, you couldn't really be involved for the club. Jerry Kavanagh at O'Devney, I bumped into Jerry and said, listen, I believe you're not doing that. And I said, well, we can't really. And he said, would you come down and, well, you couldn't I think we were saying that we couldn't manage a team, but kind of coaching a team was probably okay. Again, it's all new. We were the first set of development officers. Issue had never arisen. And I said to Jerry, so a couple of friendlies, a couple of training sessions, I said, I'll give you a little bit of a dig out. But I said, I can't do it beyond that. Jerry asked us, I really can. So ended up playing over 40s competition up in Pearse Park. Jeremy said, listen, we're a good under 16 team here. Would you be interested in, would you give us a dig out? And I says, suppose I'm a second coach to a team. I could probably,
you could get away.
I think I can kind of do that. It shouldn't be too much hassle. Obviously, you don't, obviously the AOL, you're in the paper every week.
Yeah.
Especially if you involve the Oscar training and stuff like that. So I've done that for a season. And then Martin, who I didn't really know, Martin Loughran, obviously he'd been chasing and looking at one or two of my players over the years in the Leinster Senior League. Because even when we went to the AOL, we had Bangor Celtic from Crumlin, Bluebell, Dublin 12, Crumlin, Dublin 12, Lissadale, Dublin 12. And I remember saying to John McGlew at the time, I says, we have to leave Drimnagh, like, to our sponsors up the road. We're going out here, like, we're batting off 4 Leinster Senior League intermediate teams here. But that's just the way it happened. But Martin said, I'd like to bring us to the next level. Senior with the team, and I went, well, he's won the league, so for the first time that year. I think it was 2008. So Andy Boyle, now with Waterford, would have gone to Dundalk, and he was captain of that team. Mark Connors, John Sullivan, were on that team, gone on to greater things. And I spoke to Martin and his team, and he said, listen, you know, need to go to the next level, and I think you could do it. And I said, well, what do you do in pre-season? I'm asked, we do 8-minute runs, 12-minute runs. And I said, I saw you winning the league against Wayside. He's won 2-0. It was a midweek match. Gareth Sutton threw the ball out. Everyone pushed up the field, and I'm not being disrespectful, and that's just, everyone for me was nearly afraid to lose. And there was a ball knocked long, a long ball football, and I think people in the AWL would have felt the next thing was maybe more physical or long. And I said, I don't think there's anything I could do for that, like. And he says, okay, what would you suggest? I said, well, it doesn't happen on a football pitch. We won't be doing it in training. So it's short stuff, sharp stuff, lots of touches, lots of moves, lots of blah, blah, blah. And he says, okay, pre-season, 45, 50 players. I says, grand, I need a half a pitch. I want 8 poles, 4 colour poles, 6 of each. And Martin said, no, we have an all-weather pitch and we have the full pitch of 50 players. And I said, all I need is half a pitch. So half a pitch, all the pre-season was on half a pitch. But it was all, if we had 50 players, you had 4 groups of 12-ish. If you had 46 players, you had 4 groups of 11 or 12 in different corners, and you all done stuff. It was all football, 3v3, 2v2, intensity, but all football stuff. And yeah, we definitely changed the way the team play. And even like
the lads had said it, even over there had still spoke about it when you came in as coach over there, the difference that it came in for on the training and the things in football and things definitely transformed them, yeah.
Well, Danny Loughran like used to hate training. Probably I'd be the first to tell you. And I didn't know anybody in Crumlin really, because I didn't even know. I kind of knew of Martin, but I didn't really know him. But Christy is Danny's father, so that first week after the Tuesday Thursday training, we went and had a little pitch and put out.
Christy, isn't he?
Little pitch, great, very, very funny, great time for Christy now. But they had a pitch and put out on it, that kind of thing, and had a presentation at the end of it. And I was told, you pick names out here, you're with Christy. And I said to Martin, who's Christy? He says, my brother Christy. And then there was Junior. So there was Martin at the top of Dermot, so you had Martin, Junior, Christy. and Paul Martyn the cookie from Drimnagh. Like, that's the way it was. And I said, okay. So I'm sitting with Christy on the bus going out, never forgetting. He says, Danny came home training Tuesday. Oh, that was deadly. Great. He says, brilliant. He says, Wednesday morning he couldn't walk down the stairs. That Paul Martyn fella's a crook. It's the first conversation I had with Christy on the bus out to wherever we played the pitch and put somewhere in Meath. And that kind of summed up then, where we went. And I think even like James, James Lee was obviously would have been captain and became captain. But James is a footballer for me now, massively improved in what we were trying to do. For me, massively improved. And like was never anywhere near international recognition until much later, because he was just powerhouse and nothing. Even I sent him a couple messages when he was manager, when he went on to win the league that time, and he said, I still use some of your phrases, still use some of your little kind of catchphrases and stuff like that. So I said that was brilliant.
Take a bit of something that you've been coached by or managed by, to have a little. I think I spoke a couple of times before with people who have been on this, or just in general, if you can take something from a little snippet from a certain manager and then a little snippet from a certain coach and have a little way about it can shape you and mould you, I think, as a manager or a coach. Well,
I remember we played Skerry's Town. Skerry's were in 1A or something, and I remember the bookies, because there used to be bookies across the road, and we were 50-1 on or something ridiculous. Now we were obviously 2 leagues ahead and you're expected to win, so we're 2-0 up halfway through the first half, and the lads are knocking and everyone's saying keep the ball, and I let her off, said don't effing keep the ball, move it quicker. So at half time I had to explain as such the difference between keeping the ball, which is slowing it down, and moving it quicker. And Christy would always say it's the same but it's different. And Christy would often, over years, be saying something. He says it's the same but it's different. So that kind of stuck. And we played Bluebell in the quarter final of the Intermediate Cup, up there again, huge crowd. Sunday morning, we had a man sent off in the first half, so we're down to 10 men, and it was 4-4-2 time in the year of 4-4-2. So we went 4-4-1. Then with the second player sent off with 25-30 minutes to go, so we're down to 9 men. So Martin comes over, 2 banks of 4. I said, no, these aren't playing short. So if we go 2 banks of 4, we're giving them the ball. So this is obviously, we've just gone down to 9 men. And I said, go 3-4-1. And Martin says, 3-4-1? What do you mean? And I said, they won't play to the fullbacks, but we need an out if we win it.
Yeah.
So Tony Griffiths was playing, now Winchy Core manager. So I said, we play Tony up front, Larko was on the right. We said, back 3, back ourselves, 2 centre halves, 1 in between, 4 across the middle. If it goes to a fullback, they spring and one of the fullbacks push on. So we're taking a little bit of a risk, but at least we've a little foothold in it. So Martin said, okay, we'll give it a go or something. We try it. And we went 3-4. And actually Tony lobbed the keeper with about 2-3 minutes to go. It bounced on the penalty spot and bounced over the bar.
No joke.
But we beat them on a replay and went on to win the cup. But I told the little story about the scorpion and the frog to James. Well, I said it to the team, and James intently listened to me. And I'm sure I'm saying he hasn't a clue really what I'm talking. I know he doesn't. So remember we played a little game, we put goals on the halfway line or something, and it would take James longer to cop it. But once he copped it, he was the best at it. But it just, that little change would take him a little. So I told him the story of the scorpion and the frog, it's not in their nature to change. Because I kept letting it roar, they won't go short. And everyone, of course, there's hundreds from Bluebell saying, go short. And I'm letting it roar. They won't go short. So the keepers, what they do. So that he couldn't change there. Then, and when James got married, the best man speech was all about James talking to Martin Lockram, which was kind of one of the funniest things I've ever heard from James's brother. But there was 2, so me, Steph and Martin, neither of us drink. So when we went away on trips around, we'd be there with 2 mugs of tea. So there's 2 mugs of tea for manager and coach, and he had the scorpion and the frog. And I thought, 8 years later, whatever number of years later, he still remembers the scorpion and the frog. That little thing about, people not being able to change. So, but it's great when, I quote Pádraig Nicholson. I met him at the coaching conference the weekend. When I met him first on my B licence, and he said, Paul, you could have a career in football. And I thought, I'm in the post office. First person in my house to do a leaving cert. My 2 older brothers and sisters had to leave early. And I said, no way. Not a chance. If my mother was alive, I still think she'd have wouldn't have let me at the age of 41 join the FAI. So it's 41 when I joined the FAI, and I think she'd have said, not a chance. But there you go.
Yeah. What would you rather now? Obviously, you've been a manager and a coach. So, what was you prefer? Obviously, you're coaching a lot more time than you're managing. Do you miss the managing side of things where you're the main man in it, or would you rather just be the?
That's a great question.
The coach.
People have asked
that question.
Yeah, really.
I saw you snipping the piece of paper. And you know, some people have asked, because when I was with Bosco, I was the manager and the coach. I was doing everything.
Yeah.
And then when I went to Ballymun, lads had set out stuff before me, and you know, the committee have put up stuff, and I'm getting ready. I'll be the last person to leave Brickfields where we trained.
Yeah, you'll be thinking you have to put the nets out.
The nets up, and
and
Ballymun, they're taking the stuff away, and I'm thinking, jeez, this is great. And Pat Daly was my assistant, and Pat was magnificent. Pat ended up playing night owls with the Bosco managers kind of group as well, which was great. And then I was a goalkeeper coach for 3 years with women's under 19s. Dave Connell, who was managing Edenmore, in that Premier 8 league that time when us and Wefta came up, and he asked me to be a goalkeeper coach. I said, Dave,
Where did you play? You were right full, were you?
I played sweeper, centre, sweeper really. Then I ended up, when I went back to Bosco, I was 28, I was in midfield. When I was early 30s, I was centre forward. I was 2 years in a row top goal scorer for the Saturday team, the senior Saturday. And then as I got late 30s, I was back in middle. And the last 2 or 3 years, I was back a sweeper. So I kind of went up and down.
Eventually goalkeeping coach then.
And then with goalkeeping coach. And Dave said, Paul, I want someone that will coach the goalkeepers and the back four.
Right.
So a bit even now when you talk about current goalkeepers, I remember when Crumlin played Letterkenny in the intermediate cup final, and 15 of the 20 minutes, Shane Supp was the goalkeeper. It was all shot stopping, shots. There wasn't one shot in the whole game. And again, when I'm on goalkeeper courses, I mention this, because that's what people think a goalkeeper. Well, now it's 70% is receiving the ball, passing, all different. So the whole thing has changed. So Dave says, no, I wanted to coach the goalkeepers and the back four. So we had Amanda Budden who's now with Peamount, was with Shamrock Rovers last couple of years, and Grace Maloney, who's with London City, is the number 2 in the Ireland squad at the moment. So they're my 2 goalkeepers the first year and a half. Then the second year and a half, Courtney Brosnan, who's now the number 1, and a girl called Jill Maloney. 2 American Irish girls were the 2 goalkeepers. We had the centre back from Cork, Mayo or Galway, Cork and Dublin, the full back. So, and the Americans don't use a cross as an over. You know, they don't call it a penalty, but all the so we have to come up with a common terminology here. So I was working with the goalkeeper in the back four, and then Dave Bell, the 2 coaches would work with the attacking part of the team. So I knew my role was a goalkeeper coach and learned loads. And then went on to do the UEFA goalkeeper B licence and UEFA goalkeeper A licence. And now I'm an educator, tutor, developer on those courses when we run them. And that really takes me out of my comfort zone. But by the same token, I add a coach's, manager's perspective. Because some lads... And again...
That person wasn't wrong.
I was 41 when I joined the FAI.
Make a living out of football.
Well, I mean, and I saw him last Saturday at the coaching conference. He was really and I loved working with him, like Pádraig Nicholson, Tom O'Connor again. They were 2, Christy Lockheed, they were my 3 coach educators when I done my B licence, and they really gave me a graph for coaching. I mean, they turned me from being a lad who learned and robbed ideas off people to kind of looking at it. And when it really sung for me was when we were in Premier C. We were playing Ballymun in the semi-final of the Navy Cup. We were after knocking Neilstown out in the quarter-final 3-2 up in Neilstown, which was a magnificent game, one of our best games ever. But we're playing Ballymun, and they were playing Port Marnock on the Wednesday in the semi-final of the FAI Junior Cup. And we were playing them in the semi-final of the Nivea Cup on the Sunday. And I went out to watch them, Noel Anchors and Davy Kane playing up front. And we used to play again 4-4-2. And I'm thinking, I was centre half and a sweeper, so they're just playing 2 right of the middle.
Yeah.
So how do I pull a full back in? does my sweeper become a centre half? But he's not really a centre half. He's my brother as well. Like, and I'm thinking, so as the game wore on, I went, so I'm stopping looking at the match. I'm just fixated with these two, thinking, how am I gonna? So that was the Wednesday. Thursday, I said, lads, listen, we're gonna play 3-5-2 against Ballymun. Ballymun, like, they beat Paul Martyn 2-0. So they're in the FAI Junior Cup final.
They won the treble, obviously, is it?
What year was that? That would have been 90. It could have. Well, it was around. What was it? 90, 99, 2000, 2001. Would have been around that time. And the lads went, "What are you talking about?" I remember, geez, we lost another one of our players, Steo, Lord rest him, only a couple of months ago. And I remember him saying, "Are you gone effing? What are you fucking doing? Like, we can't. We're playing Ballymun. We're Premier C." And I said. And I was trying to explain, and I remember the lads going, and it was the only time they kind of argued with me as such. They kind of were agreeing with, this fella's different, you know, obviously we all knew each other. And they beat us 1-0. And it was an awful, scrappy, scaldy goal, and we had a player sent off. It was a bit harsh to be sent off, he slipped. I remember Noel King running past me to give out to the linesman, and Christy was playing, Mack would have been playing, Casey was playing. Like the Ballymun team that we were all grown up watching, kind of. But he beat us 1-0 at the time, and that really was the first time I think I turned into a coach. When I started thinking, hang on a second, I can't do what I'm doing.
What was your instructions going out with the 3-5-2? So obviously
it was the two centre halves picked. So one of the fullbacks had to get dropped, and I had to bring in another centre back, if you like. And I remember him, and he was joking, like, you know, and he was the joker of the pack in the whole club, like, you know. So, and I told him that we're going 3-5-2. So one of the fullbacks knew they weren't going to play, and I told Paddy that it wasn't going to be him. So when I called it, he threw us back, and he started calling names, and he's only joking. Like, all the players are going, "What's going on here? Paddy's been trying to wobbler here." But that was just his way. And it was just, look, 3-4 across the middle and up front. And like when we played Paul Martyn, we used to play 3-4-3.
Right.
Sorry, I played 3-4-3, not 3-5-2, 3-4-3. And it was, look, two wingers, you're on their fullbacks. And I used to do it against, and playing Paul Martyn, we always did that because they had big lads, like the Craig Bolton as a right full junior international, and Robbie O'Connor, I remember Robbie, my little winger, about 5'3", but hard as nails, like. But we stopped Paul Martyn from playing up in the back, which meant they had to kick out, and the Desi Leonard and John Shannon in the middle, like, as good as any two I'd have in there. And then we had like Speedy and Party, like we had other good players around it then, but we're picking it from deeper areas. We beat Paul Martyn 3-0 3 times in the 4 years. Like, they weren't close, like 3-0. And I remember Stan saying, "We hate going up to Madigan." And we said, I love to hear that. I love to hear people saying that. But I think that's what, in my head I was a coach, and then when I started doing the badges, and I didn't do the A licence for 10 years because I didn't need it. But then that allowed me, when I done the A licence in 2008 and 9, was when Martin had asked me up. So and you need a team to be with. So I said, well, my plan is to, and again, on our A licence, all League of Ireland managers and coaches, and I said, well, I have a Leinster Senior League team, can I coach this team? And then
you have to be with them for the full year to
progress. Yeah, you do. So Noel O'Reilly unfortunately passed away during the course, which pushed out to 2. And then the policy seemed to relax a little bit, like there wasn't as much onus on. I mean, we knocked Shelbourne out of the FAI Cup that year on a replay. And again, we should have beaten them in the first match. And I remember reading the programme before the replay, and it mentioned Shelbourne. I think Dave McKeely was the manager, he mentioned normally the minnows or something like that don't get a second chance, which often we didn't. And I remember, so everything I'd normally talk about, I just read 2 or 3 lines. And I said, they're only here because we let them off the hook. And we did. We were really good. And the second game, Martin Kramer scored. We beat them 1-0. We then played Waterford. We drew with them in Richmond Park, 0-0. And we had a chance in the last minute to beat them 1-0. And they beat us 2-0 on the replay. But there was only 11 teams left by the time that replay was played. So, you know, so, and even, but it's interesting. One of the senior players had spoken to Martin, listen, because we were 3rd or 4th in the league, even though we went on and won my first year we won the Intermediate Cup, second year we won the Intermediate Cup. So until the 3rd year when we were beaten in the semi-final by Avondale 2-1, I'd never lost an FAI match for Crumlin in nearly 3, and they won it for the next 4 years. And then we won, I think, for the next 2 or something. So between 8 and 9 years, we were the only 2 clubs that won it or something like that, which is incredible.
Something else, isn't it?
And we each stopped each other from making maybe 5 or 6, perhaps. But I don't know where I was going with that now. Where that was.
Manager or
Manager.
coach?
Oh yeah, manager, coach. I suppose I'm head coach of the Special Olympics team, which is a bit different because there's only 2 staff. Now there's external staff to look after all the different
Why
sports.
is there only 2?
It's a 7-a-side team.
Right.
Now, I've been at 4 World Games. Like last year, we won a gold medal last year. With Special Olympics, the only Ireland team where the best players are not picked. So players are graded 1, 2, 3, 4. It sounds harsh, but it's to try and make sure that the same players have a meaningful competition against similar ability.
Yeah.
Because obviously there can be a big difference.
Yes.
So we all the players are the same grade, and then when we went away, we won a Division 1 final, scoring 31 goals and conceding 2.
Oh Jesus, some going on there.
And we had 3 players from the north. We had 1 from Galway, 1 from Westmeath, 3 from Cork, 1 from Dublin, and two from Kildare. So it was a real all-Ireland team.
Spread out.
And we only train once a month, so we brought them back. But I used a tactics sport for the first time, seeing how the lads. So what happens if, and they blew me away. They blew me away. Again, we had 3 really quick players. For example, again, just on coaching, with 3 really quick players. So without using the term mid block or low block, we've kind of solid, kind of tough little defenders. So I said, right, there's me 2 centre halves. We played 3 across the middle and 1 up front, and the goalkeeper. That's our 7. So 2 of the midfielders are really, really quick, and the centre forward is really, really quick. So I said, when we get the ball, can we score with 3 passes? That was the mantra from minute 1 in every little training session we did. And we'd only have 10 in the squad. So obviously we didn't play 5v5.
Yeah.
Because like if you're working on something, we play 6v4 to overemphasise what we needed to do. And it was 3 passes to score, 3 passes to score. And over there in our first match, we did it in 2 passes. And about 5 of them when we scored. Paul, that was only 2 passes. So that had sunk so far in. They knew if we get it,
You take it
can we
literally,
play it forward
Yeah.
quickly and score? And the thing that annoys me most is the second goal we conceded, because I took my eye off the ball because we were so on top in the final. We just left 1 at the back and they broke quickly, and the lad on the edge of the box was too far up, and I looked back and he was too far up, and that was me. I should have realised he should have been deeper. But we came back and won. Yeah, we won an extra time, which was phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
So that's when I honestly, there's people who say I'm probably a better manager. There's those who say I'm sure I'm a better coach. But over the last number of years, I've coached more than I've managed. Yeah, whereas before it was all manager and coach.
And secretary and groundsman.
And treasurer and PRO and everything else. All as a volunteer.
Would it interest you at all to get back into managing?
I'm 60 next week. Sorry, the week after. Jeez, I'm aging myself. No, I've more than I get no greater pleasure than seeing the likes of the James Lee. Jero was at the coaching conference last week. Jer is doing his B license starting the summer, so he's been on to me a few times saying this and this and coming up that I could have a little look at and stuff. So, like smashing footballer, top footballer, and I think it's great then to see that even Wacker Dunn is on a B license with me at the moment, and he's with Bose. So I love seeing lads coming through that you'd have had a bit of an influence on or a part of their journey, and you'd like to think that you've maybe sparked something that. Yeah. And again, when you hear lads talking, it's I think it's great that people just name check people and say, look, you know what, so picked up something here, picked up something there, learned something here, learned something there, because we all, when I was 26, I was with Timon Bond and the manager, Junior Campbell, who some lads much older than me would remember Junior playing in the leagues for years. And when he stopped, he recommended me to take over. Now, I was only 26 at the time. I only found this out years later, 5-6 years later, someone said it to me. And I said, well, me? I was only 26, only starting to play. And that was Leinster Senior League when there was only 2 intermediate divisions. Yeah. And we couldn't go up because we were in the league below it and we hadn't got a private pitch. We played on Brady's Field there up in Timon.
So you must have had something about you then at that age.
There must have been something that they saw that again, I was managing a kids team, but I didn't really.
To you, it's just
You know.
normal because obviously that's yourself there, but people probably say, "Jesus, he's thinking outside the box here." So you obviously had something.
Well, Dermot come over to look at 2 players
and
and ended up fucking recruiting me.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
You know,
there's something
for
there.
the following 5 or 6 years, and then obviously, I say when I was 41, joining the FAI the following year, I'm over in Shanghai, 80,000 people in the stadium. I'm walking out front of every newspaper, the Special Olympics, and I'm now on the Europe Eurasia football panel for Special Olympics. So they've co-opted me onto that too.
Sounds like you enjoy being out of your comfort zone. You're comfortable being out of your comfort zone. What should I say? I know it sounds silly, but you've put
It's
it
a
to
challenge.
41.
It's where it happens.
41 to jump out, leave your job, as you said.
Yeah.
A lot of uncertainty there. You mightn't get it, or mightn't like it, or whatever. But you push yourself.
Were you
Is that
part
what
time, Paul, before? Were you part time with the FAI beforehand, or were you just
No.
straight in?
Straight in, finished up on post on the Friday, and went into
Let her straight into
the inner city.
Back in that beard again.
It was in the inner city. I was development officer for the inner city. So obviously it's all Dublin City Council areas. But there was no when we looked at it, and I knew there was a development officer for Finglas, and I knew Jason was from Finglas. There was one for Inchicore, and I'm not far from Inchicore. There was one for the south side in the city. Jonathan Thorne was from there. There was one from around Raheny, Sharon Boyle. So I was thinking, everyone has one picked. And then when I found out, because I wasn't released, I needed to give a month's notice or something. So I wasn't released for a couple of weeks after everybody else. So when I heard I got the inner city, I remember ringing them and I said, I thought I was going to get Inchicore. I said, such and such has got Inchicore. And I says, all right. I says, why is that now? And he says, no, wife said, I think you'd be the best suited. And the first week I met Jerry Reardon, who was I was the northeast in the city, he was the northwest in the city, so he went out as far as parts of Cabra, whereas I was kind of Capel Street, North King Street, all the way down to Ballybock. And a couple of kids said hello to him. We were going to go for a cup of coffee or something. And I says, okay, by the time I'm finished here, I want every kid in the Dublin city area to know who Paul Martyn is. Yeah. That's all I wanted. That was my... And I used to drop into Croke Villas, which I think they're being demolished at the moment. There's been talk for years. And I turn up with a bag of balls and the kids just come out and play. I'd have between 5 kids and 12 kids. A month I went in, there was 3 girls, all with colours in their hair, like.
Yeah.
And I was going, oh no, with the colours. My mummy's getting married tomorrow. And yet they still... you can imagine the mother saying, you're not going out playing football. Yeah, married tomorrow. You had a flower girl or whatever. And the 3 of them still turned up. And I took a photograph, actually. I think your wife used it because a car had smashed into the goalpost. So the goalpost is dented. And then you have the majesty of Crow Park just there. And I took a photograph of the kids at the corners. And I think your wife used it years ago for
that's stuff that people wouldn't probably see you do, obviously, with the FUI now. But you're going down into the inner city and people playing football, kids playing football, and giving them obviously
even Bally
football
because of North Inner City. We started up in Hardwick Street Flats, so there's a new little pitch going into Hardwick Street Flats, and I would have helped the lads. I think Hardwick was involved years ago, and then it broke away, and we reformed them as such. So Anto and a few other lads would have met me about setting the club up, and I was saying, this is how you structure a club properly. And I remember someone saying, well, I say Nelson's not getting this game, and he comes to me, and I said, no, oh, that's not your job. If you're the chairperson, Anto's the manager, that's his role.
Yeah.
And no, but what? There's no buts.
That's be chain of command, already.
That's his role.
Yeah.
That's your role. You're the chairman of the club, you're the treasurer of the club, you're the secretary. He looks after football matters. So you have to get away from, but if a fella stops me, and just to explain that. So when they're putting in the little pitch, I suggested putting in sidelines, and the lads went, no, what do you want sidelines for? And I says, I'd love, when you just look over the balconies, I want it to look like a pitch.
Yeah.
Not like a bit of green. I want it to look like a little pitch.
It,
So they had an end line. So now it's only a foot in. I'm sure when they're playing themselves, they don't care about it, but it looks like a pitch.
Exactly, yeah.
And then we set up it was a night road leagues, and Dublin City Council used to run it with us. And the family, the Hannies, so we used to call it the Ned Hanny Cup. Ned was the man who used to, and his family are still there. He used to sweep that when it was an old tarmac had pitch for the kids to play football. So we call it the Ned Hanny Cup. And I think some of them lived out in Finglas. And so used to have so O'Devney would have been in it, people from Sheriff George's Pocket. Harvey Street would have 3, the young lads that put in a team, the older fellas they put in teams, and there was one team allowed, or 2 teams in Finglas, because some of the family had moved to Finglas, so because it was the Net Hanny Cup. And UEFA during the Europa League final in 2011, and I was the volunteer manager for that as well, so I've a few different hats. Michel Platini was in there as president of UEFA when we were doing the quarterfinals, and it was a misty kind of night. The residents had put a few flags and buntings. It was unbelievable. Like for someone who would have played on the road, like we played on the road, like you never played on grass. To see something like that, and that became the Late Night Leagues, which was one of the FAI's biggest grassroots programs, and it's played all over the country. And that was started, and we had a men's and a women's competition as well. And we some great times, like great times.
The women's side of the game is starting to take a big step, isn't it? It's starting to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, biggest ground sport in the country.
Yeah. It's there's no stopping it. Like I don't know if it was from the Lions when the English team girls won the Euros or something a while ago. I remember it kind of kicked off from then.
I think that gave everything a boost.
Yeah.
Like one of our core programs when we started as development officers was the growth of girls football. That was one of ours. And we have a photograph when we started in 2006. There was 100 kids, 150 kids out in the AOL, and right in the middle of the ball is Katie McCabe. She's sitting there. But obviously because we had development officers from all around the country now helping to promote it, it helped to grow. But what we needed, so as I said, 2015-16 when I was involved in the women's team, over half the squad were playing in the National League. Now last year we only had Julianne, the only one from the National League, because they're all playing professional, which is phenomenal. So I think we have like female only courses. So there's female only UEFA C and UEFA B license course, and I think I'm hoping I'm right in saying that the deadline hasn't passed, but the application was saw for UEFA A, UEFA B and UEFA C female only, and the only thing that can probably curtail it is facilities, because a lot of facilities don't have female toilets, female dressing rooms, and then female coaches. So obviously female coaches are growing all the time. But I think the reason why we have the female only is because the girls in a group on their own will be more open to discussing without feeling, if I say something here, someone's going to call me stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's a really, really good environment.
This year we got a 4-6 school girls team for Things United. Also the 16s, under 16, and our senior girls just reformed this year as well.
Fantastic.
Our senior girls team, what level did the FAI Junior? FAI Senior Cup, I think they played P-Mount, it was televised and all that, so it didn't turn out too well for them. I think it was about 14-0, but listen, it's
what you expect of the team that are
that's
league champions from the previous year.
We also have a girls academy, so girls only academy. We're just trying to get kids out of that, so it's starting to move into our own club now, so hopefully we're going to start pushing up the girls teams, but it's actually booming at the moment, that girls football. Well,
on an A licence just recently finished, I had Emma Bourne, Rihanna Jarrett and Anya Gorman as 3 of I was their coach developer, so they're just finishing off now their UEFA A licence.
They're getting into it.
Yeah, so that'll be a huge help, because I mean Anya 113 caps I think it is, Emma 134, Rihanna unfortunately was decimated by I think 3 cruciate ligament injuries. 2 happened while she was with us, which is very unfortunate.
As you said there about the half the girls in the photograph of 2015 was National League Day. Do you think now it's not as many, it's only one at the moment, it's because they're not picking as many from the National League, or do you think that everyone's just, the girls are getting better, that they're going across to England?
I think most of them have opportunities now, because obviously the Women's Super League has grown huge in England as well. We are, and even the 4th division now, so like Jessie Stapleton, who's on loan from West Ham to Sunderland. Jessie has a huge potential, but wasn't getting game time in West Ham, and she's gone up to Sunderland. She's started nearly every match, so that's going to aid her development. Jessie was one who played, she played a boys team as long as she could. Would have played with Cherry Orchard for many years, and has kicked on. She's played the last few senior matches as well, so there's opportunities there that were never there only 7, 8, 10 years ago. I think even like when England played Ireland in the Aviva Stadium, so I'm part of the match operations team as well, so I'm in the tunnel, and there was as many of the Irish girls supporters calling English players' names as they were Irish players'
Yeah.
names, because they know all the English players
Yeah.
because they're following on television.
Yeah.
Like that wouldn't happen 10 years ago.
No.
So it's incredible. Like it's the Women's Super League, and then England even winning it, their own one in the Euros. Like I think helped make it. Yeah, no, it's just going to keep growing and growing.
Yeah.
We just have to make sure we try, facilities wise,
Yeah,
and
we keep
you know,
pushing.
like St Kevin's. Is now St Kevin's Football Club.
Yeah.
Because of St Kevin's Boys up to a few years ago.
It's football club.
But because they're a big club, I'm sure, like yourselves, Bosco, Crumlin, like everyone's going to start developing girls teams because
Yeah.
half the population are girls and they all want to play, and they're quite successful.
We have a girls international that came from my club. She's played up to under Alex Devoy till she was 13s, and as I'm saying, there's nothing for her to step into 14s for girls teams. Sure, she went to Bowes League of Ireland and stuff like that now, but she's thriving up there now. I think she plays a couple of games with her 19s at the moment, but she's been selected for the Irish team a couple of times as well. So
Kiva Keenan, not from. Did Kiva Keenan not play
yeah,
with
she
Wefta?
passed on as well. Yeah, I think that was
Yeah.
Wefta though. Yeah,
Yeah, it would have been
Yeah.
Wefta days.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
Kiva
she-
would have played with the
Celtic,
19s.
didn't she?
Went to Celtic now. He's back with Shelbourne the last couple of years.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm almost sure we played the Basque region in a game in 2015, and I'm almost sure Kiva played in that match.
Did she play as well? Yeah,
It wasn't an officially recognised game because
Yeah.
it was the Basques, but yeah,
It's good to get the structure though in of the girls' football in
Yeah.
the clubs. As you said, this team's changing their names because it's not Kevin's boys football
Yeah.
club. It's actually football.
Yeah,
club
well, it
now,
gives
so-
them that bit of support as well, doesn't it? Because
Does.
there is a lot of social media out there that kind of pushes against it, with certain things and certain aspects and all. So it's nice to
people have to
make
see
it,
it.
let it keep
We're,
growing.
we're physiologically different, so obviously the girls can't run as quick as the men.
Yeah, of course.
That's why there's. I think Serena Williams, wasn't she? Someone suggested she should play Andy
Emma.
Murray, and she said, "Not put me playing Andy Murray. Be 6'love."
Yeah.
He's just too strong, like,
Yeah.
'cause it's different. So the sport is going to look a bit different. But if you compare it to 10 years ago or 20 years ago, like it's completely different.
Yeah.
Hmm.
We never would have had players from all over the world, all over Europe,
Yeah.
all over England, and in 10 years' time, the girls that are coming through every year on year on year. I was with the 16s for 3 years, so you could see the depth when we'd have the best players in to have a look at them, to pick squads. The depth is getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and the only way is because now there's the underage league, and there's going to be over the next few years a second tier, for the women. So there's a third tier now on the men's side. Well over 40, could even be 50 clubs have already applied to be
Yeah.
part of that. So that'll be good to see.
Yeah.
As well.
I
So
hope
when the
yeah.
second level comes in with the women's, that's going to push that on as well. So yeah, it's all good. Yeah, that's all good.
Yeah. So what's the future hold, Paulie?
What does the future hold? My God. Well, I'm in the twilight end. But I still look. I love meeting people, chatting to people, talking to people. Even stories that are popping into my head.
Yeah.
All,
always have
all
a
week
smile
or
on
two.
your face, no matter what way. Anytime I bump into you, Paul, and see you, it's always handshakes, smiles, laughs. And
Yeah.
great to see you on any occasion. I've often bumped into you out in the AOL or out at a game or going to even an Ireland game. You sorted us out with tickets. I bumped into you a while back. You made me run down to a hotel about 4 miles, but you still got them from me. But any time we see it, it's just all football. It's great to chat and
Yeah.
look
Well,
back at memories.
2028. I mean, I've become an expert by expert. I hate using the word expert, but we had the Europa League in 2011, and I was the national coordinator for volunteer education. So I was going out to clubs, speaking about how to manage volunteers, how to recruit volunteers, how to retain volunteers, and so on. Then 2020, I was asked to be the volunteer manager for Euro 2020. Phenomenal experience. We had 1,400 plus volunteers signed up, trained, ready to go. Lost it with COVID 21. We thought we got it. Lost it again. The Europa League final. And this year, I was the volunteer manager again, and 541 volunteers
You're
that we
looking
had.
after them all, were you?
And I was looking after all them. Yeah, so I was in charge, like when we say getting them in. So promotion campaign to get them in. Then they were all interviewed individually, one-on-one. Then they were assigned roles, and then they come up on the roles. And UEFA said it was almost perfect. It was absolutely perfect. They never issued a statement like that before. So everything went phenomenally well. And in 2028, we're going to have the Euros. 6, possibly 7 games. If Ireland qualify, I think we'll have our 3 games here. 2 teams. The Viva Stadium. All in the Viva Stadium. Yeah. All the stuff is just nonsense. Yeah. The Viva Stadium is where it'll be. That'll be phenomenal. Be a nice way maybe to sign out on that. If I was lucky enough to be recruited as part of that team. But even that, like meeting the people that I have a group of long-term volunteers. Ben Finley, Declan MacDonald, remember the referees?
Yeah.
Tony Lawler, 2 Tony Lawler referees. People with the League of Ireland clubs as volunteers, helping me. Paddy Dempsey with the DDSL helped me as part of that long-term volunteer group. Pauline O'Shaughnessy, lifelong member of the FAI, would have been part of the women's FAI for many years. So that was my team of, they used to do the interviews. Dermot Lamb, Kevin's Ashbourne, lads who again would have been adversaries almost, and you'd be again through football meeting them. Paddy McGrath, chatting them, and when you get together, so what are you talking about? Like now we have the Europa League and the volunteer stuff, but it bounces back to a match in Benmadigan or a match in Kildone Road or a match out in the AUL or a cup final, and something bounces in. So I'd say that might be that's kind of in the down the road. But I think this year now we've a B licence starting next week. I always said when I lost my enthusiasm, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, next year, 10 years, I'll just stop.
Probably the most enthusiastic person I've ever in my life.
No, I try.
You seem like that you'll know when to let go, and you'll know when the time is right.
And again, even when I officially step back,
way to do it, and it's been a success.
Yeah, I've had lots of, even the last couple of years, I've had a few phone calls from people who come in and help coach, manage, and just with work and stuff. I just say, look, it's not. But when I'm finished, like obviously I'll be retired in a few years' time. So, but even when I do, I'm sure I'll still have lots of different ideas around whether it's helping clubs. I mean,
is it a bit more mentor role or it'll be advisor role? Yeah,
any of them. I mean, I'm always, people ring me from all over, clubs and stuff. I bump into someone. They'd say, last week I'd say at the coaching conference, I'd say there's no fingerprints on my hands and between handshakes and hugs, but it's great to see people. And one guy even remembered a thing I'd done 10 years ago on his B licence, and he said, every time that song comes on, I remember Coach Paul. Coach Paul, and you told me that, and every time you get used, and it's 10 years ago.
Yeah. That must feel
it's incredible.
Great, though, that's the impression I have on people.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like when people kind of throw that little story at you, you kind of go, jeez, that's amazing.
Yeah. My impression of people is they're usually happy when I leave. That's what
I think. Here's one for you. I always, anytime when someone mentions your name, it's just a conversation between myself and yourself years ago with the AUL team. We were out there training, and you actually taught Nelson's. You had said something to me. Where's Nelson tonight? Or where's Liam Nelson tonight? You didn't go to one of the training sessions or something, and I was like, who? And you said, where's Liam Nelson? And I was like, who the fuck is Liam? He was like, Nelson. And I said, Liam Tiernan. And you went, Nelson's name is Liam Nelson.
But even when we met at the hotel a couple of weeks ago, when you said, I said, and something I don't do as a rule is use nicknames. I think players can use nicknames, but I'll always use names. And I'm going, Nelson. But like that when we had the first Bosco Saturday team, Killer Nolan, I grew up with Killer, and I'm filling out the card. So I was managing the first team and then watching the Saturday team. So I'm filling out the card. So I said, Killer Nolan. What's his name? Killer. So I went around everyone else. Killer Nolan. Killer. I said, Killer. What's your first name? I knew him 20 years, and he had to tell me his first name. But it's bizarre that people become. But obviously, it's something related to something. But Nelson is just,
it's out there already.
Like even I was with JJ Glynn, one of the coach developers with me, and we were asked him at the weekend, where'd you get the nickname? No idea. No idea. Hasn't got a clue. No idea. So. But yeah, I think the enthusiasm. I think even as a coach, when we deliver any sort of course, I'd always say, for me, it's the first. Forget about knowledge and everything else. Enthusiasm. If you haven't got enthusiasm, and if you look back on coaches, things that you remember, it's usually how the person made you feel,
Yes.
rather than as I wanted to get him 5 crosses as a right back, centre forward doesn't score. You'll remember how they made you feel, and
it shows a bit of charisma to a personality, I think, definitely.
but even one that William McNabb from Celtic was talking about, they were talking at the coaching conference about getting to know people, and I'd always say the first thing I would say to any grassroots coach, get to know the parents. Now other people say the last thing I want to know is get to know the parents, because they're going to be your best friend as more often than not. They'll be your best friend. Get to know them and find out, even the kids. And he mentioned, he said he hears someone had got a dog or a cat, and he says, how's the dog? What's the dog's name? So straight away you're building that little thing. It's just shown a little. And even I got married there in 2018, and 5 players that I managed under 11 were at the wedding.
Brilliant.
And that that's 35 years ago. And you know, you're going out talking at the end, after the meal, how did you enjoy that? And that group were at one table, the Bosco older fellas that I played with at the next table, and so on and so on. And one of the lads said, he's actually in that photo, can I give you a hug? And I says, he says, if you didn't knock on my door back in 1986 or whatever it was, 85, 86, he said, if you didn't knock on my door, he says, I was a little fecker. It's not the word he used. I wouldn't know him, and he's the godfather to my daughter. I wouldn't know him, and he's no brothers. I wouldn't know him, and he's the godfather to my son. I'm his son's. And he says, family. And like when we lost the 2 lads in 2003, 2004, and we all wore the Bosco tracksuits and stuff, and there was obviously hundreds of us. Even the priest had that. I said, I remember getting SJB on the back of everything, just on the back collar. And the priest said, what's this SJB thing? I don't know what that is. And someone had to explain to him what it was. It turned everyone from, I mean, I was only, 39. And actually my mum and dad passed the same year, and my nephew John passed in 2004 as well. So it was obviously an awful year for me. Yeah. But something in that group made us, like when Jerry was 40, and he passed away when he was 27, when he was 40, about 30 of us went to Kilkenny for his birthday and celebrate his 40th birthday party. You know, and then we had Brian, we have the match every year. The trophies are named after him. Stuff like that. I think that's, and all that kind of stuff is, and even like when we, Steo, who we lost recently, and we were all back in the pub after it, and when I was leaving, 2 of the lads, they were looking at, 100 people in the thing, and they were going, we were only saying before I come over to say goodnight, did you coach everyone here? And I went, about them 3 who came after me, like,
it's fucking mad.
You know, like people here, you'd say you'd wear half the area.
I'm sure to see that, and a proud.
You don't look for it, you don't notice it.
Of course, and you probably wouldn't have noticed it yourself.
And yet, when they hug you to say goodnight, the amount of people that kiss my head when they're drunk is ridiculous. But a lot of them do.
Isn't it great?
It's a big one, it's wide. There's plenty of areas to kiss.
Isn't that actually a lovely touch that somebody is thinking that about you anyway? Do you know what I mean? So it's a testament then to yourself and what way you have been with them. Do you know what I mean? At a certain period of their careers or a certain time of being there, and it's all through football. And we say it again, like everyone who was at your wedding, there's probably more football people than not.
Yeah, and there was people were expecting loads of football stuff, but
tactics board.
Yeah. So the only thing I did, and I said it even to Katrina, the missus, obviously it wasn't going to be, but people were kind of half expecting it to be. I got a football jersey for each of the tables. So let's say there was 3 Bosco tables, shall we say. So one of them, the Bosco, the black and white, and table number 4, and on the back would have the names. A family from, they're all from London, they're all of QPR. And so table number 4 was QPR, and all them, so of course, taking the souvenirs, there was 2 Ireland tables, there was a Crumlin United table, and actually 2 friends of mine that I worked with, Eddie was over, and he was at the Crumlin table, and there's 5 or 6 Lochrans, there's James Lee, his wife, and it's the Crumlin crest. You know what I mean? So just that was the only little football thing.
Yeah.
But my wife then, I got one for Skerry's Town, because that's where her sister lives. over the heads.
Yeah.
She works in Bank of Ireland, so I got a rugby jersey, Leinster rugby jersey with Bank of Ireland on it. Went over the heads.
Yeah,
so
no appreciation.
No one from the wife's side. There's a smaller family, so it wasn't if there was 20 tables of them. But none of them got it, but everyone else. And then there was the nephews and nieces were sitting at one table. And I said, anyone over here who's bald is a nephew. If any of the lads over here have hair, they're married to me niece. And they were all Liverpool and Man United supporters, so I had a half and half jersey.
Yeah.
And then the names on the back. So that was the only football piece. But then there was someone took a photograph, there's about 40 of us in it. And they're all Bosco, our wives and girlfriends and stuff. And every single person is looking straight at the camera. I've never seen a picture with that many people where everyone's looking at the camera. And everyone, a lot of them mention us often when there's a get together. If I haven't seen them over a little while. Or if it's on Facebook, every year they're the ones that pop it up saying, such a great photograph. Because you kind of, I was young enough to play with them, but still old enough to be the manager. And then there's a lad in the running club that we have out of the gym, and he was saying, oh jeez, if Paul Martyn's coming down watching the matches, watching training. And I wouldn't have thought that. But of course, because he's the first day manager, everyone kind of feared you a little bit. And this is a fella who, he's probably 35 now. He was 10 years younger than my teams. And he still said it to me at a Christmas do there. But obviously, if you live in the area and you've never really left the area and you're still around the area, you're meeting. There's a lad who I managed under 11. His brother passed away, and I played football with him. And it was, offering me condolences. And this little kid grabs him and says, Granda. And I'm thinking, I managed him under 11. And he's the grandfather of 2 kids. And it's incredible, But of course, they're only... Because I was 19 when I was managing under 11, so it was only 8 years. So when you get to 30, if I'm 30, they're 22, you're now not far off. When you get to 40 and they're 32, there's nothing in it. You don't even notice the difference, So you kind of grew with them.
Seeing the transition,
and kind of, But look, it's like anyone who's been involved in local grassroots football. And even a kick for me, the day we lost the Euros in 2021, I was on my Elite Youth A licence. And one of my final task was to develop an adult amateur licence. So I developed the adult amateur licence, and it was set for Friday the such and such and such. And that was the day we lost the Euros. So you can imagine 2.5 years of everything consuming.
Yeah.
I got 1,000 texts and emails and messages. Had to switch off everything that day. But the pilot was 5 o'clock that evening. My boss at the time, but still the boss, Niall O'Regan, he says, Paul, until you joined that thing at 10 to 5, he said, I was waiting for a text to say, I can't do it. I just needed something to get me head away from it, because it was like a death. You can imagine.
All the work you put in. Yeah.
But to do the adult amateur, an adult amateur, I contacted 153 clubs all around the country. Many players do you have?
How that work?
Oh, for that, phenomenal. But I really enjoyed then putting the adult amateur license together, because as I contacted 153 clubs, how many players do you have training? How many nights a week? What's the service like? How big of a pitch have you got? And it averaged, the biggest one, probably 2 tours to 3/4, was 18 players, an hour and 15 minutes, half a pitch, on average, across 153 clubs. So the whole course is around, we talk on team talks. I do a piece on team talks, a bit about video analysis. Are you really watching it, or are you watching the ball? That kind of stuff. Yeah. And I get so much now. It's kind of niche almost, because there's a lot of adult, not doing a course. I manage the local team, they won't do it. But it's a really good course. There's not loads of them held every year because of it. But I got such immense pride in putting together something, because I spent so long in adult amateur football as a volunteer, doing all of that, and then to be able to formulate what I think, if I was 23-year-old or 25-year-old Paul Martyn, 35-year-old starting, what would benefit me as a coach, rather than the silly stuff, running around pitches. And like when we were at Crumlin, we used to see teams coming onto the all-weather, and as soon as they come onto the all-weather, they do laps of the all-weather, and I'm thinking, could you not run around the outside of the place? So that was, they're walking onto a perfect full weather pitch, and then they start doing laps.
Basically, you're eating your hour and 15 or your hour that you have there.
And there'll be 20 minutes down, and you're thinking,
Then they're saying 10 minutes.
So it's to try and educate and try and help them along, which is be a good legacy another little legacy to have.
Yeah, well, look, you've obviously made a career out of it. You know what I mean? And in every way, on an amateur level, a schoolboy level, FAI level, like it's.
I'm sure there's a book coming down the line, I'd say. That's the first draft.
I keep talking. Yeah, you know what? There's people have said it to me before.
A trilogy, probably. All the knowledge you have there.
Look, it's great to see Special Olympics athletes achieve something like they did. To see the women's team, most of the players to get to a World Cup, unfortunately lose out on the Euros and so on. But there's more to come.
So, well, we're into our questions now. Any regrets in football?
Any regrets in football? No, I wouldn't say I have any regrets. But like going to Ballymun was a huge jerk for me, I have to say, and even friends of mine, now and again would say, I could understand you going to Ballymun. Tough going to Crumlin when you went to Crumlin. And actually Crumlin played Bosco in a Tommy Clemens Cup match. And when I came in, the two dugouts was pitch 10, so the two dugouts were beside each other. And when I walked out, one of my best pals, Paddy Doyle, there was a stool on the habit on, Mr. Martin, you might want to sit there. Because obviously all the Bosco crowd are here, all the Crumlin crowd are here. So that was a bit of fun, but no regrets. Like everything I've had a bit of success with lots of different things and met some fantastic people along the way.
Brilliant.
Best player you played with?
Played with? Jeez.
Well, you can put it down obviously because you've done a lot of coaching as well, so you can split it.
You can split into two if you want. Best player managed or coached or
played with.
I'd say Brian being the lad that's passed away 20 years, he was becoming a phenomenal player.
Really?
There's no doubt. Like he could have in time could have captained the AOL like at the time.
What position did he play?
He played as a 6. Well, again, it was a 4-4-2, so like there was 2 centre midfielders. I think with the AOL before I arrived, Darren was kind of playing like a wing back.
He was in the AOL team at this time.
Well, he was in the AOL team before I arrived. Mm-hmm. As I was coming in, unfortunately, he got sick that year. So I'd say Brian was on his way to being the best. If I take it out of the Bosco context, I think when you look at some of the AOL players that we had, but I think again, I'm thinking of some of the Crumlin players. Can I go in AOL and then
yes.
If I go down to senior league, could even
go
I've definitely swam on both sides of the. I've swam on both sides of the channel.
You have coached about 1,000 people there.
I'm trying to think. I'm forgetting 100 as I'm thinking now. There's 20 more coming into my head. I think on the AOL team, even like I remember when we went down to myself and Darren went down to Cork to see the Munster Senior League in the semi-final, playing against the Cork AOL, and we were waiting for the winners. And the Munster Senior League were bashing Cork AOL. They broke and beat them 2-0. And we're coming back. We actually flew down. Darren had said to me, he said, "See all that fancy football we play? We won't be doing it in the final."
Yeah.
Know what you mean? We're going to just go direct at this. We're going to. They're expecting us to play. And I said, "Yeah, I think they are." So we trained Tuesday, and all the football we play, expand, like, get out wide. Even I remember the first scrum match and 10 the 2 fullbacks to go up over the halfway line. They're going, "What? Come up here? Really?" And I said, higher. And they go, "What?" And he says, "No." So Cork AOL, that Tuesday and Thursday we trained, everything was long. Stan gets it, play ball, hit it long and charge. And the lads are thinking, what's going on here?
Yeah.
We're 2-0 up after 12 minutes. Won that game 5-0. I think we scored, did we let it go? I think we let them 1 goal in that whole campaign. I say 7 different players, 7 different clubs in the final. I think we scored 21 or 20, no, 31 goals and let them 1 or something. I'd say all the records for that year. But we just threw kitchen sinks at them. I think it was 2-0 after 12 minutes, 3-0 after 20. Was it 4-0 at half time or something? But the game was over. So I think the AOL and Davey, and obviously with being with Ballymun, like Noel unassuming all the time, like Noel Murray, so unassuming, so good at what he did.
I think we might have been off air when you spoke about Noel, were we? Were we recording when you were talking about Noel? No, that you had him in the...
Yeah, the AWL Youths. He captained the AWL
Murray,
Youths team when he was 17. He played 2 years with the AWL Youths. Then he was with Ballymun. Oscar trainer then, through there. And then Crumlin and the Leinster Senior League in the media squad. And I remember he was playing for Tolka when Crumlin, we had him in the Intermediate Cup final. When I remember seeing the setup of Tolka playing a flap 4, and we had Gero, Martin Kramer and James Lee in the middle, and I thought, if they don't change that, it's going to be a long day for them. And I thought Declan Troy, the referee that day, Noel got booked early in the game, and 10 minutes to go was 4-0 at the time, finished 4-0. I think Noel caught someone, and I thought, he should have been a second yellow,
but he didn't.
And he went over and spoke to him, and after the game I said it to Declan, because obviously I'd always gone with referees to Declan, because Declan had us the previous week.
He's great at that.
And I said to him, I said, Declan, you know what, I actually said it to him about the best of luck beforehand, because I wasn't with Crumlin at the time, so I was with them, but I wasn't part of the team. I was just part of the crowd that day. And I said it to him after the game. I said, I thought that was a bit of class. I said, I'm sure you might get given out to by an assessor, saying that should have been a red card. 4-0, 8 minutes to go. Nolly, the cleanest. Nolly, I don't think he got booked 3 times in the season with Ballymun. He got injured unfortunately towards the end of the season, but I don't think he got booked more than 3 times that season. One of the cleanest centre halves ever. But I suppose for me, the best centre forward in the AOL was Davy Kane. The time he scored the 4 goals, he had a tough year that year. And I remember speaking to him before the game, trying to get in his head a little bit, saying, I saw a little headline, Kane brace helps Ballymun lift the liddy. And we're 2-0 up at half time, and Davy scored a 2. So I went over to him and I said,
that was only for
the paper said in each half. And he scored the next 2 to make it 4-1. I remember when he scored the 4 when he ran away towards the sideline, and there's players dragging out him, because now we'd won the cup, and they're dragging out him, and he's pushing people out of the way, and he grabbed me in a headlock and he just shouted,
he's a strong man
what
as well, Dave.
the heck is going on here? That's all he said. Like, so that was just an amazing little man. I actually talked to Davey there, because I did meet him again doing little runs here and there. And then on the Leinster Senior League side,
so you're going with Davey AUL?
I'll go with Davey on the AUL side, even though I'd be more defenderish. But I think Davey, over the longevity of his career, the goals, the hat-trick in the FAI Cup final that time as well against Kevin's, like, and Leinster Senior League. See, it has to be a Crumlin player, even though I was with the intermediate team for 6 years with Martin. Does a lot of them lads have a lot of medals. They've won a lot of things. And I know Martin has got a few votes already, hasn't he? Martin Kramer. And I only met Martin there a couple of weeks ago, bumped into him in Liffey Valley, and rightly so. I'm not sure if best is, it's maybe unfair to call him the best, but definitely the one who had the most influence over that Crumlin team in the early couple of years, that gave us that springboard to winning the Intermediate Cup the first 2 years, and then 4 leagues and 5, and everything else was Derek Griffiths, I have to say. Derek Griffin, sorry. He just demanded the
best.
And Derek would have been and I'm sure he'll admit, like, a centre half was strong, get the ball up to you, we concede nothing here. But he demanded, even in training, like, he set a standard in training that really rubbed off on every other player. And I remember we were playing Bluebell up there, a bit like when we used to play in the Mark Christie, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
The Mark Christie. We were playing in Bluebell in November. He said the pitch was in ribbons. And the lads are starting to go a bit long. And he stopped, the ball went out with a kick out, and he let it roar out and said, here, we play. This is the way we play. Get it. And start playing it like. So for me, Derek, I think, was definitely the biggest influence, I think, that gave Crumlin that springboard.
Probably doesn't get enough credit for that, does he? Well, I'm not too sure, maybe from the lads he played with, but probably doesn't get talked about enough.
I think because we were so good going forward, you know, with Tony Griffiths, with Jerry up front, with Dean Kelly, Larko on the wing, with Gavin Quinn, like with lots of lads that scored. Then with the lads in the middle, the Martin, Kramer, James Lee scored loads of goals. Like it was nearly taken for granted that we wouldn't let in too many. But to me, Derek, he was the captain at the time, starting off, and he just demanded. But I think definitely anyone, when you played, if Griffo marked it in training, he marked it in training. And like when I say marked, and even Nolly, I remember Nolly when I was with Ballymun, he was always, every match, I'd always pair him against Davy Kane, because Nolly wanted to be marking Davy. And I said it to him, I said, he's the best player, as far as I'm concerned, he's the best centre forward in the league. The only way I'm going to improve is by marking Davy. And in every training, and I mean, like they got stuck into each other. Like there was no messing. Yeah. But there was never anything ill, obviously. And I'm sure that helped Nolly, and I'm sure it helped Davy too.
Good. So we go with the best manager.
Best manager?
Yeah.
That I had?
Yeah.
Jeez, I hope I don't.
It's a
long time since I had a manager.
So we go with the best manager. Either or.
Yeah, the best manager I'd say for me was Junior Campbell, Christie Junior Campbell. Yeah. With Time Bond, the lad who recommended me. He actually stopped playing to allow me to play sweeper as such. And he had a league, Leicester Senior League, highest level kind of reputation. So yeah, I was kind of an outsider, because we used to have a little 7-a-side team called Eights a Crowd, because it was a 7-a-side. We had
gonna use that one.
100%.
if you can. And I don't even know where that name came from, but it was Eights a Crowd, so it was a Drimna 8-a-side, it was a Black Diamond 7-a-side, and we used to play in these little competitions. And 3 or 4 of the lads used to play for Time and Bond, and they asked me up, and I went up and played for them, and had 4 really, really, really good years. Really enjoyed my time up there. But Christie got me thinking. And on the flip side of it, like when I was made captain under 11, I captained every team I played for. You know, apart from the Bosco, because when I came in, I was older and it was let other people have it. But I'd captain every other team up along. But Christie was definitely a thinker. Like he was, yeah, definitely along my lines, and played sweeper as well, which, for those that don't know what a sweeper is, it's like a second centre half. And lads used to slag me, and still do. You'd come off the pitch, you wouldn't be dirty, and I said, what would you do if I'm dirty? It means I'm not doing my job. Like, yeah, I hope definitely. Although it might be coming back with 4-4-2s again. As it keeps cyclical, comes around.
I've always said that to get old school.
You were saying that the last few years.
Out to the wingers, into the box.
Back.
Getting the sweeper back. Yeah.
But even like crosses, you hardly ever see crosses now. Sometimes
saying that the last while as well.
Yeah.
And I'd always say, even with younger teams, we'd say, look, if you get it out wide, make them defend.
Yeah.
So I made them defend. If you put the ball in there, especially the first couple, see what they like.
Make them defend. Isolating the winger against a fullback, that's gone as well. Like, so everything's just like trying to pat and then come back with it or go inside with it.
Yeah.
Just get the 1-on-1, get your centre forwards into the box, and just let the winger be a winger. Knock a pass him, and you don't even cross the ball in from the end line. It could be from anywhere. If you have someone that was good at it, so hopefully it comes back.
But it's all cyclical. Yeah, probably will.
Your best club?
My best club? That's 25 years with the Bosco, so I would have. Yeah, it's probably an easy one.
You wrote the book on them, so.
Wrote the book on it, yeah. Wrote the book on it. Drimna's finest for 50 years. Look, the best 40-50 friends I have in the world. 99% of them I met through the club. So as much as all the stuff you're doing as volunteering, I mean, I was peer over 7 years doing fundraisers as a volunteer, never looked for a penny, never wanted a penny, not my thing. People ask you to do little coaching sessions, they try, no, just shake my hand and say thanks, I'll see you again. That's all. I'm not into that at all. It's not my way. But yeah, so yeah, I would have spent my life in Raird for 20 odd years, would have been involved in Raird and half the community of Drimna, and hoping that we turned them into good people. Yeah. You know?
Best friend in football.
Best friend in football? Jesus. I'm amazed anyone comes on this. Do you know what? It's been a while since I've listened to the podcast, so I forgot all these tricky questions were coming in. Best friend in football. Do you mean... Oh, best friend in football.
I'm sure you made a lot over the years, though. You know, with the different clubs.
Yeah.
Through the FAI and all that.
There's very few people that I've encountered that are not friends. I wouldn't say I can count on one finger the amount of people that I wouldn't regard as friends. To be honest, and even like every referee, you know, I'd always speak to referees and other managers and
you pick
best
up the phone
friend
the most for football chat.
See, because we're immersed in it.
Yeah,
you know, we're talking about football.
You're on the pitch, you're off the pitch.
Yeah,
in the
there's a lot of talking around, and again, it's not just the match. It's if it's match operations, it's match operations. If it's you know, if it's coaching course, next presentation. If it's on the pitch, it's how you've done on the pitch. So we're dipping in and out of everything.
You can pass on it if you want.
No, I suppose. I'd say Paddy Doyle would have to be up there. Paddy B, I'd play a good bit of golf now with Paddy as well. We'd have played together. He'd have played from me. Actually, when we won the league in Division 1, we beat Orchard United 3-0 on the Sunday, and we won the league. So we had a match to play against Villa Celtic from Malahide. Was it Villa Celtic, Villa United? I'm not sure if they're still around, but I knew we were going to win. So I said it to Paddy, who was a player of the Saturday team, and a lot of people know him as Mr. Bosco almost. I said, if we win the league today, I'm going to give you a run on Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever. Oh, I'd love that. So I gave him a little run, and I think he scored 2. We won 8-2, and he scored a couple of goals and stuff. But when I went to the Euros with Paddy in 2016, went to the Euros in 2012 with him as well, and play a bit of golf together and stuff. We go away and have a little weekend away every year, 4 of us from the Bosco, a little golf, and we play for a little cup, which is hugely sought after. So I suppose within football areas, even though we wouldn't be ringing to all of we talked about, he's the only fella I knew growing up that was a Celtic fan. Everyone else was Liverpool and Celtic, Arsenal and Celtic.
He was just
Pats and Celtic.
Yeah.
Celtic. True and true. I'd say he's green and white blood. So yeah.
Me, is it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Come on, Al.
You can read upside down.
Yeah, I actually can. Yeah, the hardest player you played against.
Oh.
Or managed against.
Or managed against. I think the hardest player I played against would have been, at the time, a fella called Ben Arborn. Would have played for Francis.
We heard Boosh mention his name, maybe.
Because he'd be a bit older than me now, so he'd be in his early to mid 60s now, I'd say. But played for Francis, and I remember we played them in a 7-a-side as well, and he busted me lip in a little skirmish during the game. And he was tough as nails. He was a centre forward. I'd see him an odd time around the place, but I'd say he was the toughest one I played against. Hardest player, because we were in the lower middle in the AOL, two players that used to always score against us was Gavin Quinn and Barry Kavanagh.
I knew you were going to say Barry Kavanagh for some reason. I don't know why. I just knew it.
Because every time I remember playing Kilbarrack out there, and we were much better. With a better team by a long way. It was 0-0. Barry gets one chance
scored
scored. And it was outside the box. Yeah. I remember saying to the 2 centre halves, the only job you have to do. Now we got back and equalised 1-1, and then there was delaying time as you would. And I thought Ian Bradley, another good friend of mine, referee, who was reffing it, and I said 5 or 6 minutes. He blew it bang on time, and I went. I remember the only time I had a proper argument with Ian. I said, "What are you doing?" I said, try everyone to be happy. I said, we're not happy, we're banging down the door. So Barry and Gavin always seemed to score against us. And then obviously he played with, and actually his mother was a volunteer for me as part of the Europa League final. Jan, yeah. She was in charge of the staff bistro.
His man and dad were always about
Joe.
when he was with Wefty, as a schoolboy, they were always there.
Yeah, but see, the two of us, Joe and Jan, so heavily involved in Kevin's for so many years, and I think this might be the first year Joe was to take a step back, but I'm not sure if it was only a half a step back, because I'm not sure if someone told me that he might be back involved. I'm not quite sure, but I mean the family's steeped in Kevin's, and still are, which is fantastic to see.
So, what favourite memory?
Favourite memory? Oh my God, that could be a book now. Favourite memory? On the amateur football side, I think the Intermediate Cup win, because it was my fourth season. Crumlin never got to a final before. I remember we played Malahide away in the semi-final. And we're saying
Bluebell?
No, Malahide. We
No,
played Malahide away.
Bluebell in the final.
We got Bluebell in the final. We should have beaten them. It was 3-2, but we were much better. Actually, Paul Kenny, Snack Box.
Yeah, Paul.
Managing Bluebell at the moment. So I had Paul on his A licence there a couple of years ago. And he was injured. Or sorry, I think I'm going to say injured, Paul, but I think he might have been suspended.
I'd say more than likely he was suspended. Yeah,
you said that, I didn't. But I remember at the start of the game, so Martin gave his little team talk and then he'd hand it over to me and I'd be maybe a bit more tactical, shall we say. And I said, listen, when we walked off after 20 minutes knocking balls around, Bluebell introduced the football just as I was walking out the tunnel. So that to me shows where we see the emphasis. And Paul actually said to me, he says, do you know what, we were just talking, and he brought it up. He said, I was watching you warming up thinking, what are they doing? Because he was used to, like most clubs were, running. Whereas all these were doing was having a bit of a laugh, bit of football, jockey back, all this kind of stuff. What's going on here? And he always said, look, that's when I think something twigged for him, saying it's definitely better. Because I used to wonder, because we were successful, that more people weren't maybe copying, robbing, stealing idea, whatever it is. And I could never understand when I went to see others, and I'd always have a little glance to see what others are doing.
Like, why weren't they doing that?
And they'd be all just running, and I was thinking, we're doing something a little bit. We must. It's not that we have all the best players. It's not as if we won every match 5-0. Like, they're all often tight matches. Hardest player we played against. Oh no, hang on.
We're on to favourite memory.
Favourite memory? Yeah, I'd have to say. Sorry, yeah, I'd have to say because when we first went up to the pitch, I remember marking how wide it was. So I said to Martin, I said,
where was it?
In Tala.
Tala Stadium.
So I said they're going to sit in, and obviously I knew the pitch because I'd been with the women's national team, so we were in and out of. We'd been up and around the stadium and stuff. So I said, it's wide pitch. I think wide. They're going to sit in. They're going to be hard to break down. And we worked on wide attack and play. And the very first goal, Gavin won the ball inside on the left wing, whipped it to Larko, Stephen Larkin ran onto it. First time cross. Tony Griffiths scored, and Mark Clossy, who I was speaking to a couple of hours ago, and I told him I was coming here tonight. He was the goalkeeper for Bluebell. He was still coming off the front post when the ball had gone past him. And I remember thinking, and I'm sure, so if you're working on something and something like that comes off, everyone kind of goes 3 inches taller thinking, hang on, these fellas know what they're doing here.
Yeah.
Went 1-0, 2-0, they got back to 2-1. We went 3-1, they got back to 3-2, and it was the first one for the club. But I think at the end of that season, then the following season, we won the Charlie Cal against Dublin Bus first, and we couldn't celebrate because we were playing a league match, and then we won the Metropolitan the following week out in Frank Cook. We beat Malahide 2-0, and actually when I got into the car to drive over, I had the last chewing I've eaten, and a double filling came out. I couldn't speak. My mouth was. That was the Metropolitan Cup final, and then we won the intermediate, and then we had the league. I can't remember which came in which order. And it was only when the last one, and then the presentation. Sitting myself and Martin, just looking at the table, and yeah, that season, I suppose. But the one-off memory, I think, was the first intermediate cup, because that was special.
Any players that didn't fulfil their potential?
Come on.
Big George, for 6'7".
Is he 6'7"?
Yeah, 6'7". Has had 2 hips replaced. Second one he's recuperating from. First one was last year. And I think even Jerry Smith, when he went into the international squad, said it to him. He said, "You've got all the attributes." And in fairness, Stan was his goalkeeper. It was the number one, and Austin was very good with him as well. I think George is definitely someone who could have gone to a higher level. There's no doubt about it. And again, we'd have known him kind of grown up. But again, Bosco true and true. Actually went and played for Crumlin for a little bit, and then Kilbarrack for a little bit as well. But Bosco true and true. Yeah, he'd be the one that stand out.
Right, Paul, that was brilliant. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Paul.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Always
Really
a pleasure.
enjoyed that one. Yeah.
No, always a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Really enjoyed that.